49ers bring pressure. Two inside backers come down the sideline. Romeo Doubs, a touchdown.
Hang on. Love to Watson to a one-score game.
Hey, this is Ahman Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rusher. Bill, the Packer fan and Packer owner, Nick. They run a website for Packer news and updates, and I know Packer news hasn't been so great lately because we got some players that are not Packers anymore that you loved at one time, but you might hate a little bit right now.
Two great running backs. We have a competent offensive line.
He's saying that he felt in November and December that they didn't want him back.
Get a little safety in that position. Either we go.
There's no reason to believe we can't return, but.
And they already came out, there's a couple guys that came out and said that Rodgers is telling what
solution of it, and don't let them go for anything under than one.
And you know what, Packer fans? The Bears still suck. So go Pack Go, and good luck to you, Bill and Nick, their website and their Packer news. Talk to you later.
It's a lot easier to come in and skip doing mop-up duty, but he threw the ball all. He kind of looked like Aaron Rodgers the way he was throwing the ball sidearm and just flicking the wrist, and the ball was just jumping out of his hands. Agreed.
Hey everybody, this is Gerhard de Beer, former Green Bay Packer offensive lineman, and you're watching Frozen Tundra Network with Bill the Packer fan and Packer owner Nick. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Frozen Tundra Network. We are back.
What's up? Go Pack, go.
We couldn't be on last week because Rob and John Dorn had something going on. I don't know.
Yeah, they were on mute.
Yeah. I'll take that one for you, Nick. I got you, Nick.
I got a question for you guys. Does anybody know what I'm about to say about Ahman Green in, our whole intro?
He totally mentioned you, bro.
No, what I was going to say is he's the best Packers running back in history. So our first topic is going to be, I keep seeing all these posts everywhere, and it's not just Green Bay Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears, NFC North. That Aaron Jones is not a top 10 running back in the NFL. So here's the crazy part to me. Dalvin Cook, who hasn't even been signed yet, is somehow being ranked top 10. I don't know how that happens. Now, I'm going to start with Isaac because the light is like blinding my eyes, and it just seems like, you got the moment that you need to be first. So go ahead and answer this.
Right there, yeah.
How is it that Aaron Jones is not top 10 on these lists?
It's just haters. They can't sit there and mention y'all froze. It says y'all froze. Are we frozen?
You're not frozen. I'm watching it live on my thing. Nope, you ain't frozen.
Yeah, we ain't frozen. Okay. Anyways, it's just haters. Haters can't accept that Aaron Jones is doing his thing. Yes, he has a slight issue with fumbles that he's correcting himself on.
That just popped up last year. I can't believe that's now an issue.
And he's self-admitted that he's working on this. He sees the gripes about it. But for him, have you ever seen a running back at him that lines up as a wide receiver like him, catching all these deep routes, these slant routes, these core routes?
Yeah, they're not just short routes.
And catching deep at the 5 yards of carry.
I'll give you one name that does do that, but he's a backup running back. His name is Kareem Hunt. I've seen him do that. Other than him, I can't think of anybody else.
I think maybe like you could throw in Kamara. He could do some of those things. And
but he doesn't primarily do that. Whereas Aaron Jones,
he doesn't primarily do that.
And not a lot of running backs get like 15, 20 yards down the field on a lot of those catches, man. I mean, they get short passes, but not like mid to long range. I mean,
maybe Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has some of those plays that's in there.
Yeah, he go deep.
But to see Aaron Jones consistently as a running back that can switch those modes, where he can be a wide receiver and be a threat, he can be that Swiss Army knife. There's not one team that's out there in the NFL that say they wouldn't like a player like Aaron Jones. Exactly. There's not. Like, how ecstatic. I mean, basically, a lot of this gripe is coming from Bears fans because they do have a running back that portrays himself as a quarterback. You know what I mean? And basically, they want to talk as much shit as possible, but they would just love Aaron Jones was on their team because then they wouldn't shut up about it. You know what I mean?
AJ Dillon will be happy with AJ Dillon.
They're already loving and raging about Tanyan, who's done fucking nothing. So, of course, they would love Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Or how they Photoshop Aaron Rodgers in a Bears uniform all year, even though they hate Aaron Rodgers.
What about Devontae Adams? Remember when the whole Devontae Adams thing? They're like, "Oh, he's coming to the Bears."
Yeah. But Aaron Jones has been the consistent guy for us, and like for him, and he took a pay cut to stay on our team. He could have got more money at the time and could have signed with somebody else, but he stayed loyal. He knew what our cap situation was. He helped us out, and he took less to stay on the team, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm sure all of us are grateful for that because he provided more stats for us. He had that 1 year he had 24 touchdowns, and then 28 included the playoffs. So like, how do we try to say, oh no, Aaron Jones ain't that guy? You know what I mean? It's crazy to me, like all these fans that try to say anything about Aaron Jones. He's definitely top 10. He's top 5 as a dual back. You know what I mean? So the numbers are there. You can look at it.
Rob. Don't worry, Rob. I'm going to you next.
And I'm just
finish it off, Isaac. I'm gonna go to Rob after that, and then John Dorn. You're always our cleanup hitter. You're gonna go last.
I'm just saying the numbers are there, no matter what. Like anytime we need an offensive weapon, Aaron Jones is ready. They're available for us. Yeah.
So
go
Rob,
ahead,
I think
Rob.
Isaac actually. I'm glad that Isaac brought up the pay cut thing because there was a lot of people that were saying, "Is it really a pay cut if he's making more than a lot?" Like I think there was like 4 guys on the top 10 list. Like he's making more than like this guy and this guy. Like, is it really a pay cut? But to me, I'm sitting there and I'm going, so the fact that you believed in this top 10 list without Aaron Jones to begin with makes you dumb. So of course you don't.
Exactly.
So that's just me.
Right.
Rob, go ahead and explain this to me. Like,
the only reason he's not on that list, and is because Dylan cut into his touchdowns. That is the only freaking reason, bro. He's still the Swiss Army knife. He's still between the 20s. He's our guy. He does all the labor, and then we get down in the red zone and they give it to Dylan, man. And that happened to him. He got shirked. The only way he got his touchdowns is if he broke it and went.
Yep.
absolutely.
I mean, and from years before that, he was rewarded, bro. I don't know how many, bro. He caught a lot of those touchdowns too, more than he ran in. But still, I mean, you took him out of the plays and gave the ball to Dylan to run it in the end zone. So that's not anything that should not count against Jones because he's proved he could do that. He proved it.
The fact is that we're trying to make a dual-headed monster, not just. So look. Obviously,
I understand that. That just saves our guys. That saves our guys. That makes sure we got 2 guys solid at the end of the season.
And
I understand it.
You know what? You know something that's been happening over these last couple of years that I've noticed that wasn't happening before we drafted AJ Dillon is Aaron Jones is not getting injured as much as he used to. Right? We're preserving him pretty well. So I'm gonna throw this one to John Dorn, where. It just kind of feels like because A.J. Dillon is – I saw an article where he was actually ranked the best backup running back in the whole league. Maybe that's taking some of that thunder away from Aaron Jones, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. That's what's happening. But, one thing about it is like Jones, they can okay, he's not on the top 10. He's seen that. I've seen articles that he's seen that, and he's not happy about it. He's going to prove him wrong. I mean, this whole team right now, everybody's doubting us. Everybody's doubting. They know that. They're reading that. They see exactly what's going on. Right now, as we speak, right now, they're in California. Almost our whole offensive receivers and tight ends are at California playing with Love right now. Practicing with Love right now in California as we speak.
That's good.
You never seen that with Rodgers.
We haven't had dedication like that in a long time.
Exactly. I mean, especially have the whole offense.
Years, but I get what you're saying. I think we've seen it in the early years. Rodgers got, I don't want to say complacent because I think that he made his worth very known, you know what I mean, like on the field at times. So, but he definitely wasn't showing up, and he was letting everybody know he wasn't going to show up until it was time to, to go. But with the Aaron Jones thing, it just kind of gets me because there's guys on there like Tony Pollard is in the top 10 on this list, and I'm like, so a guy that hasn't done anything yet. So wait, is this a top 10 list, or is this like you just are spitballing here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I thought that was just a list voted on by like certain. There wasn't everybody, anybody important anyway. But
that's like some guy named Sean Morrison or some shit. You know?
No, this was actually a rankings list that started circulating. Creating more rankings lists. Like,
how is that's just amazing to me.
If you look at that rankings list, it's like some guy named Sean Morrison or something. Like, who the fuck is that guy? You know what I mean?
What you guys have to understand is the power of social media, and not just social media. The media itself is that crazy these days.
Yeah. Is that fantasy though? Is that fantasy? It might be different.
No. It was just running backs for 2023.
Well, Nick, you know how it works. Anything in a meme, people are gonna take and run with it. You know what I mean? Like anything you could put.
Aaron Rodgers is 0-42 when
the 0-42.
That whole bullshit that's not true, and it hasn't ever been true. Even when the stat came out, it wasn't true.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Even the guy that made the tweet said it wasn't true.
Because right here,
it's just Packer hate, bro. Packer hate. That's all it is.
It says right here, Packers Aaron Jones motivated now by top 10 rankings that he's seen.
That's good.
Piss off the whole fucking Packers
because
one be dangerous.
Because one idiot said that he wasn't top 10, another idiot took it and was like, you know what, maybe he's not top 10, and then another idiot and another idiot. It circulated its way all the way to actual media where they're saying, you know what, I don't think I'm going to rank him top 10 this year. And to me, it's absurd because just a few months ago, he was 6? I think in the top 10 on every list, you know what I mean? But I'm sure you are, Daniel. I'm sure
we're looking forward to it too, bro.
I can't wait to watch your quarterback get sacked 6 times again and throw 3 interceptions and lose the game. What, Isaac?
Preston Smith is looking forward to it with that 10-0 record.
And you know what? Rashawn Gary, I'm pretty sure he's sitting there going, I'm hoping for that week 1.
Is he going to be back by week 1?
From what I've seen, it looks like he is.
I mean, bro, I hear, but that wasn't the early man. That's so awesome, bro.
Yeah, LaFleur said that while the way he's progressing, it could be a strong possibility he's going to be out.
Rashawn Gary puts in more work than anybody on the field, than anybody on the team. Like, go look at his Instagram. He puts in more work than anybody I've ever seen not named Aaron Donald.
I know Alexander, he works out quite a bit too, though, man. He's not stretching a lot of
the motor on Gary just got better and better and better. Like you can notice from the rookie season, he was gassing out on some of his plays. Now you see him working out. He just doesn't get tired. He's relentless.
And he was really having a good season until he got injured.
I actually think that's why he tore his ACL, because he was going 150%. Like, when he went down,
remember a time where like it looked like he busted his arm, like he was yelling in pain.
Yeah, when his arm went backwards.
And then he came back with that break,
right back,
still wrecking havoc. Like, man, guy's a tough cookie.
One thing about it, every time we play at Ford Field, we always lose a player or two on that fucking field. Look, think about it.
Let's break that.
I think that's where Gary got hurt initially.
We need to break the curse.
I know, right? So here's what we're gonna do. What's up, Chad? The next topic, I'm gonna throw this to Rob, but we're gonna go counterclockwise. Everybody keeps questioning if we're gonna have a 1,000-yard wide receiver this year, and I'm just, look. There's players that like, for example, DJ Moore, he'll definitely have 1,000 yards. He didn't last year. He didn't even have 900 yards. So, you guys don't have 1,000-yard receiver. I'm sitting there going, well, let's hold on there, because if Jordan Love and Christian Watson keep linking up the way that they have been, I mean, what do you think? That's
just our deep threat, man. We got underneath guys. I mean, I hear Reed and Dobbs are going to be.
That's what I was going to say. Dobbs.
Catch value, man. A lot of targets.
But
You know, tell you the truth,
1,000
I could
wide
care less if
receiver.
he got 1,000 yards win or not.
Do you think we have a 1,000-yard wide receiver this year, Rob?
I think we're gonna have 2.
You think we're gonna have 2? Well,
I wouldn't care if we had 0.
I think we're gonna have 2,000-yard wide receivers.
And we're moving
easily.
down the chains. I could care less if we got 1,000 or not.
I would actually love to see one wide receiver get 1,000 and
Yeah,
then one of our rookie tight ends get 1,000. That would make me happy.
What's going to happen, bro? Is our underneath game's going to be on. Our underneath game's going to be on point, and Watson's going to get free deep a bunch.
Musgrave will across the
Musgrave
middle.
is going to be awesome.
That's what I mean. We're gonna be pulling that deep threat in because we're gonna shred them over the middle, and then boom, the big ball's going to be there.
All the videos that I watch in training camp, don't sleep on Kraft because Musgrave is actually dropping the ball more than Kraft from what I've seen. And they're using Kraft in these double tight end packages because he's a really, really good blocker.
Yeah, it's a really good
Musgrave
blocker.
is like flaring out. I think that's what John was trying to say. Rob, sorry. I think that's what Rob was just trying to say. Like, we're going to have these flare outs. It's going to be way better than when we had Tanyan, though, I feel like. We're going to have multiple guys that could do it, you know?
Yes.
And right now, like I said earlier, they're working on that shit right now. Down in Fort Camp. I mean, they got chemistry. I mean, he's been playing with these guys fucking even last year. You know, the Gore past 3 years, and Davis and our offensive. You know,
It's just the way our offense goes so fast, and all the moving parts all at the beginning. I mean, things go. I mean, you have no clue what they're going to do when the ball is snapped. They're running guys. I mean.
That's something that Matt LaFleur's offense is. It's very creative, just like Kyle Shanahan's, obviously, because the moment that you go into play action, there's 15 different things happening the moment that you keep the ball, right? Once you turn, there's a guy here, there's a guy coming across, there's a guy over there. There's
Dude, I want to see Bo Moulton on the field with Watson. Bo Moulton, they're the two fastest. Actually, Bo Moulton is actually faster than fucking Watson. Get those two on the field together. Bo Moulton, the receiver.
Melton.
Yeah, Bo Melton.
We got him Seahawks. He's fucking faster than Watson, dude. Yeah.
Really?
So we were just talking about this in the before the show.
Not by much, but he is.
Everybody's talking about Jameson Williams, Christian Watson. Who's faster? I'm sorry, but from what I've seen, Christian Watson's faster on the field. He had a faster miles per hour on the field than Jameson Williams did last year.
Yep.
But the fastest guy on the field, it's not even going to matter between those two. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
There's this guy that we're getting back this year. His name is Eric Stokes, and he's going to be the fastest guy on the fucking field every game. Okay.
Hell yeah.
4-2-4 or 3-2-4.
Next gen stats, they keep track of that. That shit is so awesome, man. That's where you got it. You'll find.
Yeah, what's going to be deadly for Green Bay's offense, if you guys go back and watch Oregon State highlights with Luke Musgrave and his route running, his crisp route running, and his hands. His hands, I mean, I know he has little drops here and there in these OTAs. That's not going to matter. Once Musgrave starts getting hot, you're gonna see it on the field. Like, and the guy can run routes. The guy has solid hands. Like, if you go back
in the red zone
when he was healthy for Oregon State,
the deadly zone.
You know what I mean?
Well, that was also what his big thing was in the was it the Senior Bowl or was it the All-American or whatever it was that he was playing in at the end of the year when he wasn't hurt anymore, and all the college players go to it. I forget which one it was, but
one of them
scouts
bowls.
were actually sitting there and they're like, "Wow, this guy actually might be really fucking good because he caught everything in the red zone, like everything."
Yeah, once he gets hot, like, you know what I mean? Again, Jordan Love's gonna find him a lot, you know, in that mid fucking seam of the field. He's gonna be spreading around. I know LaFleur is gonna line him up in different areas, and he's gonna be that type of guy that fucking opens up this Packers offense when it's
who said that?
Sitting there struggling.
I don't know, but this didn't make sense because one of Eric Stokes' biggest problems, me and Dorn were talking about this, is that for example, when Eric Stokes is guarding Justin Jefferson, for example, right? One of his biggest problems is he's always behind him, having to catch up to try to jump the route because Justin Jefferson is such a good route runner, right? It's like Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson will never burn Eric Stokes. His problem is Eric Stokes is so fast. When he gets a few steps behind, he has to catch up. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The ball's already thrown at that point. It's really hard to guard a guy when you're running past him, right? So I don't know what that means. This was one of the dumber comments of the night, but you know.
Hey, please. Look, welcome another Packer fan. There he is.
Shut up, Isaac.
Oh, I seen that. He had a post for the Packers last night.
It was definitely not the Packers. That was another green and gold team up north.
This says Facebook user, but I know this is Melvin, 100%. I never
seen Isaac say those things.
Yeah, I never said Sternberger gets going and all that crap. Hey, just know Jameson is a bust, Melvin.
Musgrave actually looks pretty. To me, from what I've seen, Kraft actually looks pretty good. Kraft looks a lot better than what I thought. I was he actually looks pretty good.
Don't sleep on DeGuara, man.
DeGuara is going to be our fullback / tight end. He's our new big dog. That's
Chad, we know we don't have Devontae Adams.
No, he's saying we don't have a Devontae type, is what he's saying.
Devontae Adams. We have a.
There's nobody saying we don't have a Devontae on the team, man. I don't see that. We got plenty of guys that could beat Devontae.
So let me ask James.
One for sure.
Welcome, James. See, I mean, it's just doesn't make sense. Like, all right, Melvin, go take another drink. James, welcome to the show. What's up? Our first topic was I'm sure you've seen all those running back rankings that have Aaron Jones not in the top 10. Just a few months ago, he was like top 6, top 7, and now all of a sudden he's not top 10 because a few places decided they were like, I'm not going to put him in the top 10, and it just circulated.
So what exactly criteria are they like looking at? They're looking at production or potential for the next year.
It's 2023 running back rankings. So
okay,
enjoy the game.
You have Tony Pollard at number 8 and shit like that. You know what I mean? You got Dalvin Cook at 7. So I'm kind of sitting there. I'm like, I don't know what they're basing this off of. Just whatever their prediction is, I guess.
I mean, Aaron Jones. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely should be in the top 10. The man carried y'all's rushing game a lot last year, and then obviously when Aaron Dillon got in and did his thing, the few couple of times.
AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon.
Did I say Aaron Dillon?
You did.
Yeah, you did.
Same thing. AJ Jones, Aaron Dillon. We'll mix them all together.
Yeah.
The two-headed monster, Aaron Dillon.
I'm just saying, so what we were talking about was AJ Dillon, right, is taking away from Aaron Jones, I guess, thunder or his productivity, whatever. I don't think that's grounds to take him out of the top 10 though.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys obviously watched more Packer games than I did last year or at any point. So it's but for the few times I did watch the Packers, it seemed like Aaron Jones got the majority of the carries, and then if it was time for ground and pound, we need a yard, we need a touchdown from the 2-yard line, that's when Dillon would get in and try to pound the ball.
Yes, that is true. But there was times where Aaron Jones would slice the defense up, and then we wouldn't see him for 2 possessions. It's just all AJ Dillon and Aaron Rodgers, and we're kind of like, why did Aaron Jones only get 13 carries this game?
Well,
you know what I mean?
You probably don't know the answer to this, but does he have a breathing condition like asthma? Because I have seen running backs that have to take a break after a long run because they get gassed and they need time to breathe.
Explain the season before, because he had great numbers the year before. I mean,
I don't know if he has asthma or anything like that. I don't believe so. I've never heard anything like that. I feel like
he did fumble though last year. That's when his fumbling problem began. He fumbled in 3 different times, man. That were key spots in the game.
Main event, Mike. I like that. I think
James made a shocking confession last night that he has love for green and gold.
Shut up, first of all. That was totally different. I will see you guys week 3, and you'll see how much love I have for green and gold after we whoop y'all's ass. Okay.
Whoa, that's big words coming from a guy whose quarterback is Derek Carr.
Lemon Carr.
You better give Alvin Kamara the ball 50 times.
Well, you don't get a limit.
Is he going to be playing? He might be suspended.
What's up? Hold on a second.
How long is Alvin Kamara suspended? I don't know. Is Michael Thomas going to play? Is he actually going to play this year?
I don't know.
Michael Thomas for once?
That's until he breaks a toe or something.
All right, now what did you guys ask me?
So how long is Alvin Kamara suspended?
They haven't come up with a decision on that, though.
I feel like it's going to be 2 games.
His court situation just ended. I mean, he pleaded no contest. But they haven't come up with a decision on a suspension. So we don't know as of now whether or not he'll be.
So they haven't ruled on his court case yet.
Yeah, he pleaded no contest like that.
Okay, but there hasn't been they haven't ruled. He hasn't been found guilty or not guilty.
They're still going through it yet. Decide whether.
That's what they're waiting on because that's what they're waiting on.
We play. Green Bay plays the Saints week 3, right?
Yeah.
That's how I know it's going to be a 2-game suspension.
Nah, bro.
I know everybody shows up when it's Green Bay's in town.
Should know before training camp starts. So the next week.
I don't care if he's there or not. Who cares?
This dude's going to call up Sauce Gardner and ask for his cheese head to wear during the game and all that bullshit.
I like your wide receivers, though. I can't lie, James. I like your wide receiver corps.
I like our
Chris
wide
Olave.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, you don't have the original Saints, the one with the bag and just eyes and says the Aints. You don't have that one, huh?
Wait, I didn't know you lived in the Upper Peninsula. Don't you know?
Steve Henderson's buddy.
Yeah, hey there.
Dude, my dad's a Bears fan. I've been trying to find him a hat like this.
Next guy.
So, James, what do you predict the Saints' record this year?
I'm staying with my prediction of 10-7. Now, if you ask me where those 7 losses are coming from, I don't know. We'll probably find a way to lose to some terrible team because we always do, and we'll find a way to beat a very good team like we always do. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's got all the info on Kamara.
Oh, nice.
You guys
got it all right there.
You guys, I'm not sure if you guys play the Saints the Chiefs this year, but you guys will end up beating a team like the Chiefs or the Bills, and then you'll lose to the Bucks with Kyle Trask.
Basically. But no,
Really? You think the Bucks are going to do that good?
No, they're going to be fucking trash. They're going back to the basics.
I don't know. I heard Brady's coming out of retirement.
Who's the favorite in you guys? Who's the favorite in the South?
It's got to be the Saints.
It seems like
sure.
It seems like consensus-wise, the 2 leading favorites are the Panthers and the Saints. A lot of people think like we'll be battling the Panthers for the top of the division.
You can't deny
Panthers improved. The Panthers have
Yeah,
improved.
Panthers got a lot better.
I like that defense by the Panthers, and then J.C. Horn is finally going to show his abilities. You know what I mean? They're going to be, and Burns, fuck, that team's going to be nice to compete with.
The Panthers could be pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna. No, I'm not talking about like top notch good, but like for that division, I think they could be pretty good.
It's going to make things interesting.
And I like what the Falcons are building over there. You know, with Bijan. You know what I mean? That offense
With the run game.
Yeah. Dude, what they got? Cordero Patterson, they got Algen, they got Bijan Robinson. Like, how many running backs do you need?
Seriously,
that was what I was worried about when they were drafting.
I wonder what they're going to do this year.
Who the hell's their quarterback?
It's the Riddler.
It doesn't matter. They're going to hand the ball off. It doesn't matter.
Dude, I was trash talking with a Falcons fan last year just recently how we swept them last year. And he was like, you beat us by 1 point in the first game and 3 points the second game. And I'm like, okay, first off, we beat you by 1 point in the first game in which you blew a 26-10 lead. So
it doesn't matter, man, how many points, man. Does it make it sting any less? A loss is a loss, bro.
So
take your L and shut up. Don't make it worse. You're embarrassing.
They do have Desmond Ridder, but they also have the Saint killer, Taylor Heineke.
No.
And we got the Falcon killer, Taysom Hill, because they still have not figured that man out. Taysom Hill be running wild on the Falcons.
So as long as you guys don't play Jameis Winston against us week 3, I think we're pretty good that game. I think we're
Dude, I I don't bring up like 2 years in the past a lot, but I was so happy 2021 week 1 because after all that abuse I had to take from Nick, Isaac, Jake, and Tyler.
But I think you're more happy at beating the Vikings than us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be better if it happened in the playoffs.
Because they still cry about that Super Bowl loss.
Well,
Or
at,
that Super
least
Bowl-
we beat the
that-
Saints. At least we're not the
that
Saints,
NFC
bitch, right?
loss that could have led to their Super Bowl. Oh, we should have won that all the way. We
That's what I'm saying.
Anytime
Anytime Super Bowl gets brought up, is even in those NFC North groups, because for those you other two, Rob and John, John knows I'm in it. Rob probably doesn't.
Yeah.
And every time you bring it up, it's like, well, we should have won in 2000. Okay, first of all, even if you beat the Saints, in the conference championship, you're getting plastered by the Colts. I don't care. The Colts were
That's like Vikings fans being like, well, if we would have beat the Eagles with Case Keenum that year, dude, the Patriots were going to fucking slaughter you in that game. Are you kidding me?
That's how much the Vikings are trash. Even Favre couldn't win them a championship.
Oh, shit.
So I want to go. I'm gonna go around the horn again. I'm gonna start with John Dorn. Since James wanted to bring up that his dad is a Bears fan. Apparently.
Fucking Bears. Bears suck.
So,
Hey, me and him have like a little familial rivalry when it comes to Bears and Saints games. It is not fun to be in this house and they're playing.
Really?
It also helps that we beat them 7 straight games in a row, going for our 8th this year. So
I think we're going for 13 in a row or something, right, fellas? 12 or something.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, what's up, Darcy? So Darcy's a Lions fan, in case anybody didn't know. That's why he's got the long ponytail type hair. So I'm gonna start with John real quick. I'll go to Darcy right after since he's our new guest. Since he's talking about his dad being a Bears fan, James likes to do this thing in our groups where every time Bears fans are like, "You only won 2 Super Bowls with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks." What do you think about that? Because I just find it absurd. Like,
well, they keep on thinking these fucking quarterbacks they draft are going to be their fucking franchise quarterback. And they turn around and be bust. I mean, it's like, come on. It's like, look at Trubisky. I mean, they praised him up. Oh, he's fucking Money Mitch, man. He's the guy. And all of a sudden, even bringing up Nagy. And I told those guys a long time ago Nagy was a fucking fraud. Just like I tell Dan Campbell's a fraud to the Lions fans. But anyway,
it wasn't Nagy's fault. Look at where Nagy is now.
Yeah.
Okay? They did Nagy not just win a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but wasn't Trubisky his guy?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. He didn't choose. He didn't get his choice in quarterback.
Yeah, maybe he did. Yeah, he did.
I thought he got to pick Trubisky. I thought that was his like go-to guy.
So let me ask you guys. Matt Nagy is still an offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah. For KC.
Who's he an offensive coordinator for?
The Chiefs.
Bro,
Who just won the Super Bowl?
Somebody's got to launch the docs.
All I'm going to say is, look,
but
the Chiefs obviously didn't feel like they had a good enough offensive coordinator. They had a great team. You could sit there and go, well, they got Mahomes and they got Reed. They obviously felt like they didn't have a good enough offensive coordinator because they just won the Super Bowl a few years before that, had to replace their offensive coordinator, and who did they land on? Matt Nagy.
Nagy is just a puppet.
Nick,
Come
so you're saying,
on.
let me say another thing because a lot of people. So you can say I don't know who calls the offensive plays between Nagy and Reed, but what I do know is like I don't know who calls the offensive plays between Nagy and Reed.
Obviously, Reed mainly. It's like a Mike McCarthy.
What I'm saying is the offensive coordinator still has a part in like play calling, whether it's either drawing up the plays just to run them around with the head coach.
Yeah.
So Nagy has as much responsibility with the playbook as Reed does.
Absolutely.
One thing about Andy though, he lets his players come up with their own fucking plays.
Because they're smart enough. Welcome to the show, Darcy. Thank you very much for being here. I always love when Darcy's on. He's always very respectful and he likes to talk football. What do you think about this whole Matt Nagy thing where the Bears fans are, oh, Justin Fields doesn't suck. It was Matt Nagy. Oh, you know what? We're rebuilding for the first year. No, you're rebuilding for the umpteenth year now. What do you think, Darcy? Yeah. And with the Mitch Trubisky thing too, they did hype up Mitch Trubisky, did they not? Acting like he was going to be a god.
Well, as a Lions fan, we can't say anything about Mitch Trubisky because he kicked our ass every fucking single game of our history and just blew us out. He looked like a Hall of Fame fucking quarterback when he played the fucking Detroit Lions. But I'm enjoying the show. Can you give me a little bit, Nick? I'm just going to interact with all you guys and get up to speed. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks
Well,
for having me on.
Darcy wants to real quick. We got it. You got it. And
How did that go? How did that go? We got to put that in the.
I did it like the PG version though, and James just went.
Bill's got to sound clip that.
I know, right?
So look. All right. So since Darcy's here, we were talking about the Lions. Look. Before the show, their defense did improve. Their roster did improve. One thing that I will not give the Lions, though, that Lions fans refuse to give up, is your running game is not better. Your running backs are not better than it was last year. I don't care that Williams scored from 5 yards in 15 of the 17 times. I don't care about that. Do you know how hard it is to have a running back score from the 5 yards, from 5 yards in that consistently? I don't care if you're on the 1 yard, the 2 yard line. It is difficult to find a guy to punch it in that consistently. Is it not?
Absolutely, for sure. You got to realize that the Detroit Lions, like these fans are all squeezing their nipples. They're all pumping their fists. They're all going, we're going to win the division.
Yes,
But
you guys are already calling it, man. We haven't even played for it yet.
You're loud, Rob. Hang on. Can I finish? Can I finish?
Yeah.
Okay, forget it.
No, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Darcy.
Okay, so realistically, we have a center in Frank Ragnow that has an inoperable toe. You got to realize that we don't have a backup center. Evan Brown left and got paid. He got paid a boatload. So we draft a guard in the 4th round. We have Elodie Vaitai that never played last year, slotting in right beside Penei Sewell. I'm worried about this offensive line. And to bring up Nick's point, we changed our whole running back room. We got Chicago's running back. We got Jahmyr Gibbs that never played together before. Yeah. We're coming in the training camp, and they're going, all these Lions fans are saying, we're going to win the division. Fuck that. Aaron Jones is going to be fucking the number 1 running back in this league. Guys, you need to take a fucking pump the fucking brakes. Okay, thank you for having me on the show. I'm gonna with you guys.
That's a thing now. That's forever a Frozen Tundra Network thing now. So I believe what he was saying was number 1. Aaron Jones will be the number 1 running back in this division, which I don't think you could argue with that. Now, I don't think any of us are saying that Gibbs and Montgomery and I don't think that we're saying that your running back room can't work. Like maybe it comes out smashing people, but we got to see it first. And like Darcy said, like they haven't even played together yet. Like we don't even know what we're getting out of this yet. You guys still got Swift, I believe.
No, he got
they got rid of him. He's in Philly, I think.
Nick, we traded him for a 5th rounder in 2024.
That's right.
Damn.
That's right.
That's why they drafted Gibbs to replace Swift.
I do remember that now.
Yeah.
But you guys remember? Do you guys remember draft day? How split the Lion fan base was when they drafted Gibbs? That was completely split, man.
And
by the way, James, you're gonna love Jamal Williams. He's a great locker room guy. Really great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Hilarious. Like
he's a good back, bro. He's a solid back.
He's in Japan right now, having the time of his life. And
I love that guy. He's such a free spirit. He's always wearing like Pokemon hats and like doing Goku poses and stuff. Like he's like just a big nerd.
Since I got all you Packer fans,
he's become James' favorite player to watch.
Since I got all you Packer fans, Nick, can I ask a question? Because we got the Homer John Dorn, but then we got the realistic Nick Green here. Can I ask you what you guys think? What do you think about the Packers and how they're going to do this year?
Go ahead, John.
What I think, I expect at least 10 wins out of them. I mean, Jordan Love's been in the system for he's going on his 4th year now. he's got a lot of chemistry actually with Watson and fucking and Dubs and Toure and DeGora and Davis and Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. I mean, he knows that playbook back to his fucking hands. All he has to do is go out on the field and play it. I mean, he's got a good arm. He can take. I mean, you can blitz him all you want. He doesn't get scared like Justin Fields does and take off right away. He can sit there. He'll take right in his face. He'll sidearm that and make his fucking throw sidearming. He's done that against the Chiefs. I mean, the guy. I think he's ready. He's ready. That's if they weren't confident in him, they wouldn't have traded Rodgers. So they must be seeing something into him, and they're all going all in on Love. There's got to be something there, otherwise Rodgers would still be here. You're still under contract with us for another couple of years yet, so we would have kept him. They just
Nicholas.
I was legit in that NFC North group. I was reading a post where someone, I forget who it was probably Tom Hubert, because he's always trolling everybody. When he was
Tom
it
Novins.
It was a post about how Justin Fields has more fumbles and turnovers than he does touchdowns. And someone was like, how are you going to count those fumbles that we didn't lose? Those don't count. Like, those don't matter. I'm like, no, any fumble matters.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, anytime you lose the ball.
If you lose
It's a
the
great
ball,
shit talking point.
that's like throwing an interception and then your offense tackling the guy and he fumbles and you get it back. You're like, oh, it's okay. No, you still threw an interception, man. It's still bad. But
I'm gonna go back 2009 for a second, because I remember when that happened against I'm not gonna say Redskins. Well, I already said it, but Washington, when Breeze threw an interception and Robert Meacham stole the ball back and ran for a touchdown. It was like, you still threw an interception, Breeze. You're not getting.
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer Darcy's question real quick. I think this Green Bay team is extremely was it Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Where if this defense, which should, I said this last year a million times and it didn't come to fruition the way that I thought, this defense should be top 5. I'm not going to say it is this time because I got fucked doing that. It should be top 5
even
this year. We gotten a little bit better. Our safety position, I understand, is very, very weak right now, but if Jonathan Owens is anything that we brought him in to be, I think that would be okay. If Ford can develop. Now, look, this really hinges on our pass rush, because if we can get to the quarterback, our scheme with Barry, it'll start coming to fruition. It'll start working. You'll see our defensive backs starting to, no-fly zone again, instead of having to man-to-man all the time, because that's the only way that it would work last year. This is such a day and night team where I could see us winning 6 games, which I bet on. I bet with Ken on this show. If we win more than 6 games, I got to get a big old Green Bay tattoo right on my chest. Okay?
Holy crap!
Yeah, I got to get a big old Superman Green Bay tattoo on my chest
with Ken's beard.
Yeah, no. So if we win 6 games or less, then Ken's got to shave his head and his eyebrows.
Oh man, what a shit show bet!
Now, I could see us winning 6 games and us sitting there going, well, it's the first time Jordan Love started. We're going to give it another year, right? We'll see what happens. If Jordan Love is that bad, if he's really that bad, we'll see it this year. If he's not, we'll continue. I also could see us winning like 8 or 9 games. I really could. I could see us winning like 8 or 9 games. And to me, that would be a win this year. That really would be a huge win.
That's why I have Green Bay too, 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah,
I don't 10 to 12 wins, winning divisions.
At least 10.
I don't expect 10.
Can I interject real quick? You had a back-to-back MVP quarterback that played for your team, and they played the Detroit Lions last year and lost twice. You only got 8 wins last year. Now, how do you think you're going to get 8 wins without a Hall of Fame quarterback? Talk about it.
So, because if our defense plays the way that it should have all year this next year instead of just the last half of the year like last year, then that should help alleviate the woes, the growing pains that we're going to have with Jordan Love in the offense. And not only that, I want to bring up this point. Last year we played Aaron Rodgers' offense, and it wasn't working. It was bad. This year we're playing Matt LaFleur's offense. We're going to do a lot of play action. We're going to run the ball way more than we did last year. I could actually see us being similar to the 49ers. Obviously not as good yet. I'm not going to say we're going to be as good as them yet, but I could see an offense similar to the 49ers where our quarterback is being masked, and it's because of the scheme.
That's a good take.
That's what I was
And not only that is we're going to use the tight end position more. We haven't used the tight end position a lot, and I gotta admit that with Aaron Rodgers' tenure, he hasn't really used the tight end position as much as he should have. And I think that's going to be a focal point. That's going to be a focal point in our offense this year is using those two great tight ends. I mean, I'm not going to say great, but like these great picks. I think with Musgrave and Kraft. And use those guys more in this offense. That'll help the run game. That'll help the offense. That'll help the deep ball. If you're worried about what's getting attacked in the middle, you're gonna cut some slack and kind of bring those defenders more in, and that opens up more deep passes down the field. So these tight ends are really going to come in and help us. And
well, see, one thing about it, they knew that they're going to transition to Jordan Love. So when they did it in this offense, in this draft, they went out and got weapons for to go right in the middle, the target the middle. I mean, Rodgers never targeted the middle. He stayed away from the middle. He always loved going to sideline. He never he hardly threw in the fucking middle. Actually, I've seen a stat where he was 6 for 40 and on 30 plus yards, and he was like 6 for 40. I mean, he was horrible. I mean, he didn't play. He played pretty bad last year. I mean, especially his picks. How many times do you see him throw 3 picks in a game? Especially against it's already red zone, and most of them are red zone. I mean,
I want to ask the two fans that are not Green Bay fans. We got Darcy, we got James. With that logic, where if the defense plays to their potential this time, not like last year where it took like the last 7 games for them to wake up and you're like, oh, they got a great defense all of a sudden. And you're playing the smash mouth run offense with the play action scheme that LaFleur actually wants to play, not the 3rd down and 3 shotgun Aaron Rodgers type offense. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that we could possibly win 8 games this year. I don't think it's unreasonable.
I mean, the point of running less.
I wouldn't say it's unreasonable. I think there's like a couple things I'm like looking at from outside. It's like, one, how does obviously Matt LaFleur feels comfortable enough with Jordan Love starting. Otherwise, he would be broadcast. He's looking for another quarterback. But under some respect, do you think he might have Jordan Love on a leash since he doesn't have much experience playing obviously even a full game? So I want to see if he's going to have him on a leash. He's going to limit what he does outside of the running backs. You know what I'm saying?
I think the answer to your question is you do the Kyle Shanahan thing. You limit him until Brock Purdy decides that he's going to show you. Like once Brock Purdy started shining, Kyle Shanahan went, you know what, dude, it's your rodeo.
I don't know, not really. Look against the Eagles. They slung it against the Eagles. They didn't run it. They Jordan Love fucking throw
it. My point is, with the scheme that we're running, yes, Jordan Love is absolutely on a leash right now. And what happens is just like Brock Purdy. Nobody knew who Brock Purdy was, right? You run the ball, you make a few little good passes, right? You give it to Boobie Miles, and then when it's your turn to make a few good passes, you make a few more good passes, and all of a sudden, Brock Purdy is now his own quarterback, right? So you got to watch Jordan Love blossom before you
what's going to be fun to watch? What's going to be fun to watch is that teams are going to they're all going to bring 8 in a box, and you know what's going to happen? Those who's going to pick those fuckers apart. And they're going to have to drop out of it.
So Darcy,
I see it coming already.
You were questioning the 8 win thing that I was talking about, 8-9 win thing. I don't feel like that's unreasonable. I just don't. I feel like 6 wins is what I bet on. But if we got to 8 to 9, I would consider that a big win. With that logic that I gave, though, I think that it's possible.
It's a great logic, actually. I think Brian really wanted Aaron Rodgers gone last year. Absolutely,
but he won MVP, so he couldn't.
I know that, I get that, but then you had a brand new with Walker at the green dot, right? It takes time. I don't even think he started for you guys, but when he did start, that defense got a hell of a lot better. You beat Dallas, which was a playoff team, and damn, I'm telling you, like, Nick, don't talk to me this way, because that scares the shit out of me when you compare your Green Bay offense to that fucking San Francisco juggernaut. Fuck you, bitch.
Well,
I'll
I mean,
accept it.
But I also will say there is a.
I gotta say though, we always beat Dallas though. You know what I mean?
We never do. We did in 1991.
Like, as far as Jordan Love goes, there is a difference between like not relying on your quarterback to win and really not wanting to rely on your quarterback to win. Because
that's true. And I don't think that we're not wanting to rely on him to win. I think what we're doing is we're creating a system so that we don't have to rely on him to win.
And nobody talks about our fucking Wii team either. Those guys put us in good field position and everything else.
Yeah, I think we got depth this year. I think we got more depth this year than we did last year. Like, I felt like we shored up.
Seriously, you guys have been drafting well for the last fucking 30 years. That's why you've had a great organization. Like, you're one of the, you're better than the Cowboys, I do believe. But this is a transition year. So you're still going to have how many highlight games? You got 5 of them, I do believe, or something like that. Yeah. Premier games.
Prime time.
Yeah, primetime games. You still got those, right? So you're still got the glitz and glory of the NFL. You're one of the darlings, and it must suck for all you Packer fans, especially John Dorn, that we're coming up. We're coming up, and it's always been the Lions. Fuck the Lions. The Lions. Same old Lions, right? Yeah. But now you're seeing all these fans. They're all chirping up and everything, and you guys are like, huh. What the hell, eh? A little old.
No, I can't lie. Hey,
good little boy. Good little boy.
I think you guys do win the division this year, the Lions. Like, this is the best chance the Lions are going to have as far as winning the division.
For this year.
I mean,
and that's the same thing that happened with Rodgers,
if you look at the roster of the Lions, what they improved on, I can see them winning the division, especially since the Bears are still in this rebuild mode. The Vikings are definitely in rebuild after they dropped like half their players. You know what I mean? And then Green Bay's obviously, we're still constructing our roster as it goes, but we still have our roster that's young and that's ready to go.
Very young.
And then, and one thing that got me really like pumped up is what Devondre Campbell said. Devondre Campbell's like, hey, you've been disrespecting my name. I'm about to show you guys what's going to happen this coming year.
First team All-Pro.
Yeah, and that's something that I think Jonathan Owens can take basically initiative to be as a safety, because nobody saw Devondre Campbell's potential out of the Cardinals. He was a practice squad guy basically, and then he came on Green Bay and just tore it up. So Jonathan Owens has a really good opportunity here.
There's another guy that we got. There's a guy that we got off the practice squad that's been tearing it up too. His name is Rasul Douglas.
Yeah. Another pickup, another goody pickup.
Here we go.
So Isaac, continue. Finish what you're saying, and I want to go to Rob. I got a specific question just for Rob on this.
Oh, for sure. Well, this is the last thing I got to say.
Take another drink, Rob. I'm going right at you.
But I just got to say, though, like, I see this Green Bay offense and defense being slightly different. You know what I mean? Because, you add in Gary, you add in basically if Bakhtiari plays all season, you know what I mean? The O-line's going to be healthy. You know what I mean? You got tight ends now, and you got players that are just hungry, ready to go out there. And then that's the funny thing is a lot of these, rival haters, you know what I mean? I know they do it as rival hates.
But we're jealous of your success. We're jealous of your success.
Well, they think Watson and Dobbs are going to have the same numbers as their rookie years, which is not going to be fucking what's going on. These guys are going to be more adopted to the offense. LaFleur's going to run more touches and targets for him. There's nobody in their place that's going to take their place. So, and they're going to be focal points of the offense. So, their numbers are going to increase. And then, obviously it goes to the beat of the drum of Jordan Love, what we can produce. But just like Nick said, that running game is going to be prominent now because that's what we got to get Jordan Love adapted to is our running game and be more focused. And that defense, they have sky's the limit for them because, they kind of disappointed last year. I didn't expect them to drop off a little bit from what they were, but I expect this year, like with everybody getting healthy and, adding Luke Van Ness and then another year, Devontae Wyatt, I expect this defense to come out and headhunting out there.
What do we average for points per game? Was it like 16 points per game?
Yeah.
It's not hard for
tough
Jordan
on the back half. Yeah.
We may not have the greatest season, but it's going to be tough playing us for sure.
We also had the most fourth quarter interceptions on the back half of the season. We just kept making plays. So Rob, I saw you. I
actually got to go. Great show.
I have to go to the washroom too. I have to go to the washroom too.
All right then. Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. Always a pleasure. I can't wait. Can you have me on during the season so I can talk a little bit of shit?
You know what?
A little bit.
You know what? When Green Bay plays the Lions, why don't you come on? Because we're going to broadcast the game and be here live.
Okay, I will. Thank you, sir.
All right. So, Rob, I saw your facial features. I really want you to get to this. He was talking about the Lions winning the division, everything like that, and the Packers. Where is it that your offense is, and if it's going to be similar to the Niners, and I want you to talk on all of that, and then we're going to go to John, and then James. I guess we'll think of you.
Man, the best part of this season is going to be that it's LaFleur's offense. It's LaFleur's choices on how it goes. Because, we all know Rodgers was the diva. He ran it how he saw it. And honestly, he was more leaning to pass all the time. I think, LaFleur is more leaning toward a balanced offense. And I think with all these new offensive weapons we picked up, they set it up so Jordan Love can succeed. Everybody's like, well, you guys only signed him for 1 year. Well, we just want to make sure it all works. This is a prove-it year for the entire division, I think. Everybody's rebuilding. Everybody's retooling, except the Vikings.
Love would have to astronomically fall apart completely, be that damn bad.
Yes, and it's not going to happen.
This is a business move. It's a strategic move. However you play this year in your first year is the contract that you get. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
So instead of, hey, we're going to sign you to $15 million a year right out the get-go, right? What if we don't know what we're getting yet? What if you're just, hey, you had a decent season. We were okay. We're going to give you $7-8 million a year real quick for 2 years. We'll see what happens. See what I'm saying? If you sign them to this big lucrative contract and then we're stuck with it, that's a bad idea.
Well, and not only that, I think that they're setting them up to succeed. There's no way. I don't see how, you put a decent quarterback with the new weapons that we just gave him. Put any other quarterback in this situation. Even put Rodgers back here. What would Rodgers do with these guys?
Because he wants to get fucking timing down and everything with them.
Well, yeah, no, I don't. I understand what you're saying, John. Rodgers is bad. He's doing all what he needs to do in New York right now because he's the new thing. But I'm just legit saying, if you put a decent quarterback in there with the weapons that we already have, how is it not successful?
Yeah.
So, the only thing that everybody's saying is, well, you don't know what you got from Jordan Love. Well, I'm sorry. Jordan Love is a first-round draft pick. He got to sit down behind. He got to wait. He's learned the offense. He's now spending the offseason learning with the new guys and making sure he's got timing with them. They all are breeding this success. They're all, taking it all in, and it's just got to show up on the field.
Here's the thing that gets me. Look, you guys all know I was a huge advocate of bring Rodgers back, give it one last chance.
Me too. Me too.
I wanted one last chance. But at the same token that people are like, you don't know what you have with Jordan Love. Who's to say that we knew what we had with Aaron Rodgers at this point? What if he actually really did decline? Maybe what if last year wasn't just a fluke? What if he actually? Now, I don't actually believe that. I don't believe that.
I don't know. I think he did some. I'm not saying totally, but I think he would.
No. But I'm pretty sure he's not going to play last year. I'm pretty sure he'll be all. He'll probably be pretty good with the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure of it. But what if? See what I'm saying? Like, what if Aaron Rodgers isn't the dude no more? What if he is done? You know what I mean? We don't know.
It's not in the realm of not being possible. I understand that. I agree.
Whenever anybody's like, well, you don't know what you have with Jordan Love. We didn't know what we had with Aaron Rodgers either at this point. I don't.
They wouldn't move on from Aaron Rodgers if they didn't believe in Love. He was under contract. We could have still kept him for another year yet.
I truly believe that Matt LaFleur. I don't look. I think the management thought that we got Love for a reason. We had to move on at some point. Like this was a whole thing, right? But I really truly believe that as much as Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are good, I think Matt LaFleur had some say in like, hey man, I really think that this guy could run my offense and we could be really good. Like I truly believe that.
I read a story that actually LaFleur has been watching him since fucking high school. LaFleur's been watching him since high school. He wanted him.
So what I'm trying to say is I don't think that Matt LaFleur went into management and he was like, hey man, you need to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. What I mean is I'll bet you that management listened to Matt LaFleur, what he was saying. He's like, this guy Love that we got, he could run my offense, and we got the running backs for it. We got brand new receivers for it. We could be pretty good. This guy knows how to run my offense, and I'll bet you management kind of went, it's the time, now's the time.
Now's the time. Time to shine for fucking Jordan Love.
I'm excited, bro.
In week 1.
Hey man, I got a full confidence in my team, and I think we're gonna contend for the division. I'm not giving it to the Lions. I'm sorry, they could suck a dick. I'm not giving up on it. I mean, Jordan Love's unproven. Okay, now that's not to say he's not going to come out and stumble. I don't think it's going to happen week 1. I think week 1 he's going to put up to 250 to 300 yards, score a couple touchdowns, and we're going to run the shit out of it. We're going to.
So I'm gonna bring up something that I'm watching Packers fans continuously like dog on Aaron Rodgers in ways that I'm sitting there going, I don't think that. Okay, watch. I'm gonna show you guys. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers did anything wrong in this moment right here. You guys will see once I show you. Now, he got a shitload of criticism from Packers fans for doing this. I don't see anything wrong with this. Now, you guys go ahead and tell me if you do. If you do, fine, we can talk about it. I see nothing wrong with this.
I actually seen one like that, and when I posted on it, when I commented on it, I said, now if you would have shown that much passionate and towards more towards the Packers like that same way, you probably would have won more Super Bowls.
So what you're saying is you see nothing wrong with this then, because what Packers fans were doing, they were like, "Oh, here we go with the drama." I don't see this as drama queen. All I see is that he's trying to say, "Hey, I just wish this wasn't a distraction for us. I'm trying to get acclimated to my new offense." I don't see anything wrong with this. I don't.
I gotta agree with you, Nick. I mean, first off, I'm gonna put this right here. I think Hard Knocks has run its course anyways, but I see nothing wrong with a member of the team being like, I don't want these fucking cameras around me while I'm trying to get used to my new offense.
Well, especially a Hall of Fame quarterback trying to get used to his brand new team. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if the Broncos with Peyton Manning was doing this? And Peyton Manning was like, I don't want these people here. And everyone's like, oh, my God, you diva. Right?
But I look at it as like, you know what? I could care less. He can pound sand. You know that? I really don't give two shits what he thinks. Because you know what? If you put that much effort into the Packers last year, maybe it would have been a totally different season.
I get that, John.
I will say this, and whether
we're
or not
talking in general, John. Like, this is not a bad thing in general. You want your quarterback to say shit like that, right, James?
Yeah, as I said, but I will say this, and it's whether or not you think it's Aaron Rodgers' fault in general, but somehow over the course of his career, he has gained like this notoriety of being like a diva person. I don't exactly know where it came from, but he's gained this notoriety of being selfish, of being a diva. So when you say stuff like this, you got confirmation bias where people are like, yeah, see, he's just a diva. He doesn't know what he's talking.
Well, it's being the news.
So Rob, go ahead and take off.
I don't think him saying that is the right thing to say as far as being the, because I honestly believe Hard Knocks is like I mean they're going back to Detroit next year regardless of how they do. I mean, why? Because they had the most successful year ever, so that means you go back there. The whole point to Hard Knocks was they were going someplace new every year. Going to another team. We're going to see another team. Yeah. Go to some of these lower teams who can't do it. Help them get their franchise up. It's not about your ratings, and they're making it about their ratings. So I'm done with Hard Knocks as far as that goes.
But my point was,
it is a distraction.
I mean, but what he said is true though. I mean, he wants especially everybody's got to learn the system, and he doesn't want to be on cameras trying to teach young guys. It's like, stay away. We're trying to fucking win a Super Bowl here. Just take the fuck away from us. But
I
don't see that wrong what he said. No.
Look, what if Hard Knocks came to Green Bay, right? Because now we got Jordan Love and we got the transition, right? And Jordan Love's like, hey guys, you get the fuck away from me because I'm brand new here trying to, hang out with my offense and like do real shit. Get the fuck away from me. Could you not, like, if it was Jordan Love in Green Bay, or for example, James, if it was Derek Carr with his new team on the Saints, we'd all be sitting there going, yeah, get the fuck away from them. We want to win.
And I was actually nervous because the Saints were one of the finalists, and I'm so glad they chose the Jets. But it's not even like just like if it would be one thing if the cameras were just out on the field during practice. They follow these dudes home to the hotel, make them do personal interviews, ask them all kinds of questions. It's like, bro, can I eat my lunch in peace? Like, leave me the fuck alone.
Well, it's because it's Rodgers. Could be Rodgers last year. I mean,
probably not. But it could be, but probably not.
It could be. It's probably not, but I'm just saying it could be.
Hey, as long as he plays 12 games, I'm happy.
I can see them, right. I can see them doing that, like in the jungle thing with the lion. You don't get up to the lion, you just watch him from afar. That's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Like, so here's the brand new quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And they're not gonna go up to him.
Do the Jets play the Packers this year?
No. Only when they meet us in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it if the NFL was like, hey, there's this one game that Green Bay and the Jets play and it doesn't matter. Why don't we just switch the games real quick? That would be fireworks.
I was wondering if Aaron Rodgers had a chance to be the fifth QB to beat all 32 teams. I know Russell Wilson, the only team he's never beat is the Seahawks, but they don't play the Seahawks this year. He lost his chance last year. So I don't know when.
Brett
Favre and Peyton Manning are the only teams that do it, right?
Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady.
Drew Brees. Okay, so there's 4 of them then.
Yeah.
You know what? As much as I don't want to lose, like if we lost to the Jets, I'd be like, oh, fuck you guys. Like I'd be mad, but at the end of the day, when Rodgers retires, I'd go, okay, like, I'm all right with you winning against every team. Like, it's not a big deal, right? It's just could you imagine if Green Bay played the Jets this year? You know what? If Rodgers plays
only in the Super Bowl.
If Rodgers plays next year for the Jets, you can bet your ass they're going to put the Jets versus Green Bay, no matter how they have to do it, on primetime TV. It's going to happen.
Bro,
no, that's what they continuously did. Okay, for like Breeze, the last team he had to beat was the Ravens. So every time the Saints played the Ravens, they found a way to put him in prime time. They did the same with Peyton when he played the Colts, Brady when he played the Patriots. I don't know the deal with Brett Favre.
The last few games of the schedule, say TBD, to be determined, so they can pick and choose who they're going to put in the spotlight.
The NFL jizzed their pants when Brett Favre went to the Vikings because they went, oh, Now he's going to play the Packers twice a year.
Oh,
now
yeah.
We have glorified TV, man.
Oh, they hyped all them games too, man.
Well, remember, Brett Favre beat our asses the first
Yeah,
year.
bro, he swept us that year.
And then the second year we split. In that third year when Aaron Rodgers beat the shit out of them and he was just done and we
He was
took
already
over.
done then. Yeah, he was done then.
But I'll tell you this, you know when they have the chance because NFL won't stop talking about it. Like last year, they put the Broncos and the Seahawks in prime time because that was Russell's chance to beat all 32 teams. And the entire week it was like, oh, Russell Wilson could be the fifth quarterback to beat all 32 teams. This, that, and the third.
They need to give the Seahawks a refund or somebody.
When Russell Wilson throws
He
8
sucks.
touchdowns a season, he's probably not going to accomplish it. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I think Pete Carroll actually might be the best. And look, I understand Bill Belichick is probably the greatest coach next to Lombardi and all those guys, blah, blah, blah. I think Pete Carroll might be right now the best coach in the league. Look what he
I
did.
would say Andy Reid, and not just because he's winning Super Bowls with Pat Mahomes, but Andy Reid's been doing this since the beginning.
Before Mahomes, he showed why he was. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So okay, but I think other than Andy Reid, you could say that Pete Carroll. Look what he's did. It's crazy what he's doing right now.
Oh yeah, I
They
totally agree
left
with
that
you.
team for dead.
Yeah.
Did they not? Dude, the
No, they
NFL
did.
left that team for dead.
When they picked up Smith, I thought, oh man, they're done. Then all of a sudden Smith came out and actually played good. It was like holy Butch, and they actually won the playoffs right away. It's like wow.
Especially when Geno Smith is your quarterback. All of a sudden, I'm starting to sit there and go, is it that Pete Carroll is just that good with quarterbacks? Is that what it is?
Maybe the system. I don't know.
Well, that's Pete Carroll's system. I mean, you know what? Pete Carroll also made Matt Leinart look like a Hall of Famer in college.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, James, go ahead. You look like you're chomping at the bits. Like I'm not joking. Pete Carroll actually might be that good of a fucking coach.
No, Pete Carroll is an absolutely fantastic coach. I'm thinking about like the matchups that we'd have when we played the Seahawks, Sean Payton versus Pete Carroll, and it's like it was always like a legitimate chess match between those two. Like legit, just like. And now I'm not considering it anymore.
So here's a good subject. Let's move on to Sean Payton, who now coaches the Broncos. What do you expect with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson in the Broncos at this point?
You know, I'm going to say this, especially after the Broncos' abysmal season last year. I don't give a fuck that they have Russell Wilson. If Sean Payton manages to take the Broncos to the playoffs, not even the Super Bowl, if he manages to get into the playoffs, like miraculously win the division, I don't think they will. Like, you got at this point, I say you got to give Sean Payton his flowers and say he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, I'm curious what he does with the Broncos. To tell you the truth,
is he not already a Hall of Fame coach? I feel like he is.
I'd argue he is. He is, but a lot of people still have doubts because he spent most of his career as head coaching with Drew Brees. But
Mike McCarthy will potentially make the Hall of Fame because he coached Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Like, who gives a shit?
No, I agree with you, Nick. But it's like let me give you another example. Okay, so Cam Jordan. Would you say that Cam Jordan is a Hall of Fame defensive end?
That's tough because defensive ends so as not nitpicky as the NFL is to give wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks their flowers in the Hall of Fame, defensive ends are actually really, really like subjective.
The only reason I say that is because J.J. Watt, a lot of people are like, yeah, he's locked in Hall of Fame. But when you look at, I'm just saying there are people that say that. And when you look at their stats, look at their stats. Besides the fact that J.J. Watt does have 3 Defensive Player of the Years, when you look at the stats between Cam Jordan and J.J. Watt, who were drafted in the same year, and J.J. Watt just retired last year, their stats are damn near identical.
Most of my remembrance of J.J. Watt is always being hurt. So it's hard for me to remember him as an actual Hall of Famer. Now, look, obviously Aaron Donald is not a defensive end, right? We all know that. He's a defensive tackle. He's a nose tackle, whatever you want to call him. But when I think of Hall of Famer, I think of someone like that, right, who's always been there. he could retire right now. He's a Hall of Famer. Who's always been there, who's always smashing. J.J. Watt had a very short-lived prime. Like, because he was always
younger brother's doing better than him, I think.
So you're asking me, is Cameron Jordan a Hall of Fame player? I'm sorry, James, but what I'm going to say is, in my opinion, no at this point. I would say no. You're on mute.
Sorry, I had to mute it for a second.
I would say no at this point, but his longevity, he keeps going, give it more years, then yeah, obviously he would, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I was just like, the reason I was saying to you is because it seems like people just are like, oh, J.J. Watt, automatic Hall of Famer. Oh, Cam Jordan, maybe, probably not. And I'm like, are you serious, bro? Like, it just sounds weird when you put their careers next to each other. And Cameron Jordan,
everybody's so used to hearing J.J. Watt all the time. Basically, what that is.
So let me ask you, John Dorn, real quick. So the bigger the name at the moment, right? The spotlight, that's what makes a Hall of Famer. Like, it can't be that, right? Because Cameron Jordan obviously has a great career.
I'm just saying with the fans, between the fans and stuff. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. What I'm asking you is, though, it can't be like that, right? Like, Hall of Famer doesn't mean you had the bigger name, right? You got it. Because Cameron Jordan has the longevity. He has the career. Dude, Cameron Jordan's going to play for another 4 or 5 years or something like that, right?
No,
and then you got to figure, too, okay.
In his career, he's only missed 2 games. One by injury last season and one during COVID because he tested positive. He's only missed 2 games in his career. He's an Iron Man. He's an Iron Man.
You got to figure, too. I mean, just because he got sacks, I mean, you got to look at the pressure rate, too. You know what I mean? You got to look at the pressure. It's just not sacks. You got pressure. You look at.
So one reason why I can see J.J. Watt making the Hall of Fame is much. I would probably disagree in certain ways, but I could agree in other ways. Reggie White, right? His career,
Minister of Defense.
His career is not considered. How can I say this? He was great for a really long time, but in today's game, it's not considered a really long time anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
he had about 10 years. I think like 9 or I don't even think it was 10 years of like greatness, right? But back then, that was considered like fucking greatness. Today, like, I need my DN to do a lot more than just like 8 or 9 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's because of guys like Reggie White that we expect those guys to do things like that because he started it, bro. That hump move. I mean, he started doing the signature moves that make a great defensive rushing guy.
What I'm saying is the more years that we go, the more that humans evolve. We're expecting these guys to play longer and longer and longer, right? Like running backs. Back in the day, running backs, their shelf life was very short. Whereas today, you expect guys to go a lot longer now.
A lot of teams are going to.
That's why we're running back by committee. I mean, that's how you got to do it.
And to some extent,
look,
when you say play
wide
longer,
receivers back in the day. Wide receivers back in the day could have 8 or 7 or even 6 great years and they'd be Hall of Famers. Today, I need a lot more than 6 years from you. You know what I mean? Like, I need more than that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not only longer, but we also expect them to play better. That's why I hate when people go back in time. They're like, oh, this person shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, they were a Hall of Fame player for the era that they played in. We're not expecting that. We're not expecting quarterbacks to.
And now we got an extra game on top of it.
A perfect guy is Julio Jones, man. Every year, lots of yards, but, man, he never gets the scores, bro.
Yeah.
He never gets the touchdowns. That's his knock, man. In fantasy football, you get a lot of yards from him. He gets a lot of catches, but he don't get the scores.
Oh, fun fact, and I love this being a Saints fan, but Julio Jones actually has more fumbles lost to the Saints than he does touchdowns against the Saints.
What a stat.
That's his only knock, though. Julio Jones was Calvin
Yeah, no,
Johnson
that's it, bro. He's a solid guy.
Calvin Johnson was clearly better than Julio Jones. We all would agree on that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
what I mean is Julio Jones was Calvin Johnson without the touchdowns and without the physicality, right? He was that guy. But if you can't get in the fucking end zone, man, like, for example, let me put it this way, like Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson scored, 18 touchdowns in one season, or like 16 touchdowns in one season, and then 15 another. Like,
how many were over 40 yards, though? That's my question, because there was a lot of them.
Julio Jones would have as many yards as Jordy Nelson with 6 touchdowns for the year. Like, how does that happen?
It amazes me, bro. He gets the ball a lot. He just can't get in the end zone. He just can't get in. He's a good possession guy. You need a first down. He's your guy.
It is not Matt Ryan's fault either. I've watched the tape on.
No, it's not, bro. It's not.
It's not Matt Ryan's fault. Julio Jones can't create separation in small places. And for such a big guy, it's weird that he can't do that.
He's probably the reason why they came up with Yak.
You know, Matt Ryan's MVP year, Matt LaFleur was his quarterback coach.
All right. So would you guys consider Julio Jones Hall of Fame at this point?
I mean, for what?
I'm not gonna lie.
Hall of Fame.
I could see Julio Jones making the Hall of Fame. I could. And this is coming from someone whose favorite.
All right. Maybe not a first round ballot though.
No, definitely not the first round.
Not the first time it comes to him. No.
Okay, this is a problem I have with like a lot of fans. Is they assume just because they have a great player that may or may not make the Hall of Fame that their first ballot. This dude's first. Like, no, okay, only like 8 people get in the Hall of Fame a year, bro. It's like,
yeah, bro, it's a select list, man.
You know what though?
In order for you to push someone back, you got to do something.
One thing that doesn't matter is if you're first or second or 50th ballot. Okay, the only thing that anybody ever
run out of ballots.
The only thing that anybody ever remembers in this history of football is if you are in the Hall of Fame. Nobody cares. Nobody ever remembers if you're first or second ballot. As long as you make it, that's it. You know what I mean?
Make it, yeah.
Like, you get that gold jacket.
Yeah. But they say that until they make it. Some of those guys died before they made it, bro.
But what I'm saying is, let's say Julio made it second ballot Hall of Fame, right? And Calvin Johnson makes it first Hall of Fame. 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember who was first or second ballot. All they're going to remember is these guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, what are the standards to get in the Hall? I get that, but you think Julio makes it on first ballot?
First of all, do you think any of us know what?
Or Calvin makes it on first ballot?
Do you think any of us know what constitutes making? Because
well,
I gotta tell you,
that's true. I just want to know.
There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that a lot of us go, how did they make the Hall of Fame? But then there's guys that are not in the Hall of Fame that we go, how did they not make? So none of us know.
What all we know is that there's a Hall of Fame committee that makes those choices. Devin
Hester, should he be Hall of Fame?
Yes, for a kick returner, I think.
Yeah.
If that's a Hall of Fame worthy thing, then
yeah.
sure.
When did they ever make special teams a priority in the Hall of Fame?
So wait. Should Sterling Sharp make the Hall of Fame? Because look, as much as we're Packers fans, I think he shouldn't. He was too short-lived, man. But there are people out there that think that he should somehow.
But and also another thing, I think so people also need to remember when you make the Hall of Fame, you make the Hall of Fame as part of like your entire career. Now, sometimes between coaches and players, like, you might make the Hall of Fame as a coach, not a player, or a player is not a coach. But it's like, as far as your entire career for what they're putting you in, like, let me give you an example. Sam Mills got inducted to the Hall of Fame last year. And I hated it that Panthers and Saints fans were going at it on who he was going in. Was he going as a Panther or a Saint? It's like he is going in as both a Panther and a Saint. Both of those jerseys are getting hung up with his bust in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Got to build a fucking picture out of this thing.
Now, does he want that, or do you think that's a dig on one team or the other? What do you think that?
Well, unfortunately, he died. So his family was the one that accepted his Hall of Fame induction. But I will say this: like, Sam Mills was an important part of the Saints' dome patrol defense. He was He was one of the best linebackers in the league, along with the other 3 best linebackers in the league at the time. And then when he went to the Panthers, he helped them get to the Super Bowl, even though they lost. So, I mean, it's not disrespect on anybody for him to have both of his jerseys hung up because he was just as important to both teams.
I get it. Just like Reggie White, man. He played a lot of years for Philly, but, man, he's a Packer for life, bro.
Oh, yeah, and I'm also not kidding when I say the 4 best linebackers in the league because SportsCenter actually ranked the top linebacker cores of all time where the Dome Patrol was up top, even though the Saints couldn't win anything back then.
You're right, the Saints couldn't win anything.
Shut up, Bear fan. Shut up, Bear fan. Shut up, Bear fan. Go home.
Look,
go to your room. Go to your room.
It's the same thing as Raiders fans being like, well, Charles Woodson went in as a Raider. I'm like, yeah, but he won as a Packer. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Hey, man, the Bears only got 85. That's it, bro. They got nothing else. They got nothing else.
They don't have 85. They have 1.
I'm just saying. Hey, the Bears had a phenomenal defense in 85, man. Hands down. Best defense ever.
So look,
and all they had to do was hand the ball to Walter Payton for the rest of the offense. I mean, that's all you got to do is hand the ball to Walter.
Me and James have argued about this for years now. I'm going to have to see the quarterbacks that go in with Drew Brees because it is amazing and is great as Drew Brees' career was. I have to see the quarterbacks that go in with him because I could actually see him being second ballot, not first ballot. I could see it. He has a lot of chunks of his resume that are missing that comes from a Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers or a Joe Montana, etc. And look, that's not to say that Drew Brees wasn't as good as these guys because he had seasons where I will give you not 2010 or I'm sorry 2011, not 2011 because Aaron Rodgers technically had more total touchdowns and his dude. No one ever seen 45 touchdowns and 6 interceptions before. Everyone's like, what? Like no one ever seen that. And Aaron Rodgers missed a game, so I'm not going to give you 2011, but 2009. I will say that you're probably right. Like Drew Brees, when I watch the comparisons, I'm like, Drew Brees probably should have won that one. But
Brees played 1 less game than Peyton.
Don't do that, Nick. We probably should have won a few too. Don't do that.
Yeah. And he only was like 100 yards short of Peyton, and then they give the MVP to Peyton. Like how do you?
It was because of notoriety. You know that. It was because it was Peyton Manning. Like you know that. The thing is, the problem is though I have James is that he has chunks missing of his resume where it depends the quarterbacks that go into the Hall of Fame. I assume he'll be the best one that goes in that class, so he'll be first ballot, but it just really depends who's there with him. Don't hate me for saying I could see if there's someone there that
I think those guys plan it where they can put it in there. You know, they can feed it in there where it's a better chance for these favored guys to get in. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. But let's say that Drew Brees goes in at the same time as Aaron Rodgers, for example.
Like who do they say was up? Who do they say is it T.O. or Keyshawn? One of them guys are now eligible.
Well, if first of all, Keyshawn Johnson is not a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
I'm just saying, what they just announced it, man. I literally just heard it 2 days ago.
He'll be eligible for the rest of his life then, because he's
eligible. He's eligible now.
Johnson has never been a Hall of Fame.
Well, it was probably T.O. It was probably T.O. It's probably T.O. He played for Dallas. It's probably T.O.
There's no way that Keyshawn Johnson is even mentioned.
If I was to randomly become the Titans' NFL new place kicker and I retired 3 years later, like I'd be eligible after 5 years. I'm not getting in.
I'm just saying, like, okay, so Drew Brees will get put into a class where Drew Brees is the best quarterback, I assume. So he'll be first ballot. What I'm saying is,
well, didn't Eli come up in his era?
Eli retired a year before Brees. So
okay, but I'm saying they came up at the same time. I think they came out Eli got 2 Super Bowls. Eli got 2.
That's actually a good discussion. I've always personally felt that Phillip Rivers is more deserving to go to the Hall of Fame
Holy
than Eli Manning is.
Yeah, but Rivers never won nothing.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me.
It does matter. It does matter, bro. It does matter.
Eli Manning.
I'll bet you any money that's the first qualification that you get in the first ballot if you won a Super Bowl. I bet you that's one of the first ones.
James, let me get this one. Phillip Rivers has consistently been top 7 every single year of his career. Whereas
I agree, bro.
Eli Manning hasn't even been top 10 for half his career.
Eli Manning is arguably the worst quarterback out of those 3 in his draft class. Between Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning, if you were to pick one of those quarterbacks to start, one of those quarterbacks to bench, and one of those quarterbacks to cut, if you pick Eli Manning over either one of them,
You're right, bro. But he's still in the talk, though, man. That's the thing.
So
two Super Bowls are a lot. That's a lot when you.
So Big Ben is one of the quarterbacks that Drew Brees might go in. You know what I mean? Like so.
Oh yeah. There's another one, Roethlisberger.
First ballot and Drew Brees goes second ballot. Could you ever see that? Or is it impossible that Big Ben goes first ballot over Drew Brees? See what I'm saying?
I wouldn't be mad if Ben Roethlisberger got a nod. I wouldn't be mad. I think Ben Roethlisberger is eligible the year after Brees, though, officially. But I wouldn't be mad because Ben Roethlisberger.
That doesn't necessarily mean that that's when they're going into the Hall of Fame.
I know, but that's their first chance. That's what gives you the first ballot.
Yeah,
if you make it on your first opportunity.
5 years.
So James is saying he wouldn't be mad if it was someone like Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be mad.
Now the thing is, God, Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, was never as good as Drew Brees was, but he had the teams that were better than Drew Brees' teams, right? Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, we're putting 4 quarterbacks in this tandem now. Eli Manning is by far, and I'm talking about far and wide worse than all of these quarterbacks.
I agree, man. I'm not saying nothing about it, bro. I'm not saying. He did beat our 15-1 Packers, though. He did beat our 15-1 Packers. That's all I'm going to say.
One argument people make is, when Eli Manning made the playoffs, though, he was clutch. And I'm like, you realize Eli Manning made more than 2 playoff appearances, right? He made a total of 8, I'm pretty sure, and lost the first round and the other 6. So he was not some magical clutch quarterback in the playoffs. He had to.
The Packers knocked him out once, too. That's when, what's his name, busted a hole in the locker room.
When we threw the Hail Mary to Randall Cobb in the end zone at halftime, yeah.
And then once he was crying and being a baby, he put a hole in the wall.
I'm just saying, bro. They all came up at the same time. You can't. I mean, Eli's got to be. Eli's going to be in that. He's going to be in that conversation.
Conversation, no doubt. But it's like if what I'm saying is, I don't know if Rivers will get in the Hall of Fame. So that's what I'm saying. If Rivers doesn't get in the Hall of Fame, Eli Manning for sure as hell does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree, man.
But you disagree with me. That was the point I was making. Was what I said was that Phillip Rivers damn sure deserves to make the Hall of Fame before Eli Manning ever does. That's what I said. Phillip Rivers should make the Hall of Fame off his numbers before, if Eli Manning is someone that they're saying should. No, Phillip Rivers should before him. I don't care that he won 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning was considered not even a top 10 quarterback for most of his career. Phillip Rivers was, dare I say, top 3 for many years.
There is a point in time where throwing dumb interceptions was called vintage Eli Manning.
Oh, he just Eli Manning that pass. Yep. A-Dub, welcome to the show. What do you think, A-Dub? We're talking about now. Look, this is actually kind of complex. I'm not going to lie. We're talking about if Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees go into the Hall of Fame ceremony together at the same year, who gets first ballot, who gets second ballot? And not only that, we're going Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. Eli Manning's getting cut before all of those quarterbacks. Am I
Even
right?
though he's got 2 Super Bowls, that's where we're at.
He's got 2 Super Bowls.
I'm just saying, bro. I think the Super Bowls matter when you're talking Hall of Fame.
Jacobs being the reason why they won the Super Bowl. Do you remember their defense being top notch in the whole?
Okay,
like, bro, it goes well beyond.
David Tyree saved
with the
Eli
gun
Manning
stuck on his helmet and caught the ball.
But you could say that with bro.
What about Mario Manningham with one of the greatest?
I'm not taking away from Eli.
seen.
Here's the thing: on that play, I can't take anything away from Eli Manning because he did escape like 2 people pulling him down before he threw it.
You know,
Eli, okay, go ahead, A-Dub. We're going to give A-Dub the floor. He's brand new to the show, right? He's not brand new to the show, but tonight. Go ahead,
He's a rag. He's a rag.
Well, I was going to say, if Super Bowls was anything to go by in terms of who gets in the Hall of Fame, then one should mention Ben Roethlisberger amongst most of them because even he has as many Super Bowl wins as Manning.
Yeah, no, he's in there. We put him in there. We're just saying.
That's all we're asking. A-Dub, if Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees go into the same ballot for Hall of Fame, who gets first and who gets second?
Between Roethlisberger and Brees, personally, I go with Drew Brees.
First ballot?
Yeah.
Now why?
When I watch Drew Brees, I've usually enjoyed his game much more than I could Big Ben. Like Brees was more fluid and complex when it came to his passing.
And he was just a better quarterback, to be honest. He was just a better quarterback. Yeah. Like at the line of scrimmage, the way that he moved. Dude, he was just a better quarterback. I'm sorry, A-Dub, go ahead.
Bro, 50 touchdowns, a lot of touchdowns.
That's just how I look at it with Drew Brees. He was far superior to Ben. I mean, Big Ben had his moments, but the thing was, I enjoyed Drew Brees' game more than I ever did Big Ben's.
Well, I think Pittsburgh was more coaching.
Pittsburgh was a better team. Like it was a franchise. It was managed better. The Saints were never managed well ever. They're lucky they have one. I'm sorry, James, but the Saints are lucky that they have one Super Bowl. I'm not even joking because they were managed horribly. They had Archie Manning, who was considered the best quarterback in that moment.
Plus, they have one of the best sound bites by a head coach anywhere. Playoffs.
Archie Manning was considered a revolutionary quarterback who was the best. He was ahead of his time, and they destroyed him. They ruined his career.
Dude,
sorry, James, but
I literally read an article about Archie Manning. Obviously, I wasn't born around that time, but there were literally defenders were admitting that they would take it easy sacking Archie Manning because it was too easy to get to them, and they didn't want to hurt him.
So, but they could not deny his talent. Archie Manning was the original Peyton Manning. He was that damn good. Like for his time, he was that damn good. The Saints just, dude, and not only that, I'm not so sure that Drew Brees wins a Super Bowl if he stays on the Chargers. I'm pretty sure he did what was best for him, and Sean Payton came along, and they actually made a team. And I mean, what was his name? Porter Jr., right?
Who are you referring to?
The guy that intercepted the ball.
Tracy Porter.
Tracy Porter intercepted the ball against the Colts to win the game. Not only that, let's be honest.
He also picked up Brett Favre in the NFC Championship game. Don't forget about that.
But in the Super Bowl, the cojones it takes for Sean Payton to come out at halftime and kick a onside kick.
Oh, remember when I made that post in NFC Prime asking which was the more properly executed onside kick between Seattle and the Saints?
No, you asked which was the more calculated kick, and I said, well, for one, the Seahawks knew that they were going to kick that ball. No one knew so that was a way more out during the Super Bowl against the Colts, this is kind of what won the game, actually, was that onside kick because the Saints went down and scored a touchdown. That actually changed the game. And at the end, when Peyton Manning had a chance to tie the game, throws an interception to Tracy Porter, who takes it to the house and wins the Super Bowl. Like, this is just poetry in motion, to be honest. Like, I mean, that's so you'll never see that again because the Saints will never win again, obviously. So A-Dub.
Forever the Aints.
A-Dub. I want to ask you a question, A-Dub. You got, oh God, this is gonna be good. I can't wait to hear this. Bench one, or I'm sorry, start one, bench one, cut one. Okay.
All right.
All right. You got Eli Manning, you got Phillip Rivers, and you got Jim Kelly.
Start Phillip Rivers, bench Jim Kelly, cut Eli Manning.
Woo! That's my guy. Woo! That was a good lineup right there. I like it. That's exactly what I would do.
I gotta wonder how I couldn't imagine being a Bills fan during those four. Like, obviously it was exciting, but you see your team get to go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and not able to walk out with a win, and that just has to be deflating at some point. It's just like,
to be honest, do you know what one of the biggest reasons was? Is because of Jim Kelly. Go look at those games. He was horrible. He was awful in those games. Although, he was playing one of the greatest defenses that ever existed. So, I mean,
but like, I remember I saw this post on, and I think NFL shared it, where it's like we were close to a Kirk Cousins versus Blake Bortles Super Bowl, and I'm like, bro, we've had a Trent Dilfer versus Kerry Collins Super Bowl, so don't give me the crap.
It was Case Keenum, not Kirk Cousins.
Was it? Yeah, that's what I meant.
I was like, Kirk Cousins has never gotten close to a Super Bowl. It was the Case Keenum versus because, first of all, the Jaguars should have won that game. The Patriots, man, I gotta be honest, the refs fucked them on that one. They called that holding on Boye on the sideline. That was not holding.
You know what I hate about, like, and this is coming from someone that's been a ref, only at the high school level though, is it sucks. I was a line judge, or sometimes I was a down judge, just depending on where I was. But then, like, you learn that only certain referees can make certain calls. Like, for example, roughing the passer. The only 2 referees that can call roughing the passer or have a judgment call on it is the umpire and the head referee. You know what I'm saying? In my case, I was supposed to look for offsides, the occasional pass interference if I could see it.
But if you saw roughing the passer, you're not allowed to call it.
Because it's not a call that I'm allowed to make. That's only the umpire and the head ref.
That's kind of stupid, in my opinion. Like what if the umpire who's calling the roughing the passer sees a dead ass hold on the line of scrimmage, and he's like, well, it's not my call. That's stupid.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. And then there's also this, and I learned this when I was refereeing soccer too, is there's also this code among referees where you're not supposed to, like, embarrass your colleague. So if you see a blatant penalty that you can call and they're the closest one to it and they don't call it, you're supposed to keep the flag in your pocket because you're not supposed to embarrass them. And that's like one of the most annoying codes I've ever heard.
I feel like that's why I can't be a ref, because I'd be like, nah, I don't give a shit about that. I'd be like Kenny Powers on Eastbound and Down, you know what I mean? Like, nah, son, that was a penalty. You know what I mean? All right. So, A-Dub.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones was taken out of the top 10 running backs in those rankings that we just seen recently. What do you think about that?
Personally, I found that highly suspect because when I looked at that list, Jones should have been somewhere on there between. I would have put, when it came to some of the running backs I've seen on the list, I wouldn't have a problem with a few of them, but Jones should have been somewhere between 6 and 10.
You mean like Tony Pollard and Dalvin Cook, who hasn't even been signed yet? You mean guys like that?
Yeah. I mean, Tony Pollard was well deserving to be on there. I just don't know about other running backs on there that was ahead of him. Like maybe Jones. Like if Jones was gonna be anywhere on that list, he should have been like I said, somewhere between 6 and 10, because he did have a productive enough year for Green Bay where he should be top 10.
And you know what, James? I'm not trying to say that Aaron Jones is like better than Kamara. That's not what I'm getting at. But to have a guy that's pretty much like Kamara, he could be just. First of all, Kamara hasn't been that productive the last few years, and for him to be.
I'd agree with you on that. I'd say it was mostly last year. It was a real decline because 2020 he was fantastic. 2021 he was kind of average. But the thing is, Kamara's never been like a pure. Kamara's never had like 1,000-yard season because he's never been used as like a running. Like he is a running back, obviously, but he's always been used in his versatile ability to catch.
He's a multi-tool.
Yeah.
But he was like number 5 on that list. So for me, it's like, yeah, Kamara was like number 5 on the list, and I was sitting there, I was like, so what is it that Aaron Jones isn't doing that Kamara is at this point? And again, that's not to say Aaron Jones is better than Kamara. It's not to like shit on Kamara. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying, like, in the argument of this top 10 list, I'm sitting there going, what is he doing that this that this guy's not? You know what I mean?
It's good. I really want to see this list. If Kamara's number 5, I'm trying to figure out who 1 through 10 are. But I mean, obviously, I'm like, yeah, Kamara number 5. I'm also like, yeah.
You're like, we'll leave him at number 5, but I agree with you. All right, Adab.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we go, you're seeing that Packers don't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Do we have one this year?
If there is one receiver I trust who could actually break that mold to be a 1,000-yard guy, it may as well be Christian Watson.
Woo! Ric Flair. Woo! That's right.
Like
now,
the reason I say that is, for me, he pretty much has the higher ceiling of any receiver we got out there, and he's pretty much shown that he's more than capable of putting up explosive plays. Like if he can follow up the production he had during the second half of the season, he could be that 1,000-yard guy.
This will be a fun conversation with James. You guys got Chris Olave, who was great last year. I actually, that's who I wanted in the draft. But now that we got Christian Watson and we've seen what both of these guys can do, what do you think? The comparison between these two guys. I mean, obviously they're different types of receivers, but I mean, I almost feel like Christian Watson kind of broke through the ceiling that we gave him as a rookie for a second there, and Chris Olave proved that he's really fucking good. So what do you see between these two receivers, Chris Olave and Christian Watson? And I'm not saying that one's better than the other at this point, because to me, it looks like they're actually neck and neck, like comparable at this point, even though they're different receivers. I'm just saying, like, what do you see with your receiver and our receiver? Because I think we're kind of fighting for who's the better receiver at this point. You know what I mean?
It's a little bit hard because, they're both rookies, so it's hard to judge purely on their rookie season. And if I was to make a statement about their, I was this close to saying between the two, I think Christian Watson still has a higher ceiling to reach, and I think Chris Olave has reached his ceiling. But even then, I don't think Chris Olave has reached his ceiling either. I think he still has potential left. I mean, having 1,000-yard season in your first year is freaking amazing. We've only had two other receivers that did that, and that was Colston and Michael Thomas. So,
and Marcus Colston was great for you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I miss Marcus Colston.
Michael Thomas, I believe he's coming back this year. I guess we'll see.
Ideally.
But Chris Olave had by far, in my opinion, the best rookie wide receiver season. But the thing was, what you saw from Christian Watson, you're kind of sitting there going, wow, like I think this is what you're getting at, is like the ceiling of this guy is kind of like, wow, like what could he possibly do, you know?
Yeah, and I say that because Christian Watson kind of started out very slow with the Packers. So I mean,
Well,
I'm
he was
not gonna
hurt
lie.
too.
Yeah. So like when he ended the season with 600 yards, 7 touchdowns,
611 yards, and 7, and 6 of those touchdowns and 400 of those yards came from like the last 7 games.
Yeah, so it's just like, yo, where did this all of a sudden come from? Like, obviously, you said he was hurt at the beginning of the year, and it's just like that's why I said I feel like he has a higher ceiling to reach. Now, how high that ceiling is totally debatable, you know.
I think what you're getting at is like with Chris Olave, like you could see where his ceiling is, you could see where his floor is. You can kind of see like this guy is a very steady, really good receiver, and I've always believed that Chris Olave will be a really good receiver at some point. So I feel like at this, like what you're trying to get at is, I could see where this guy's ceiling is and his floor is. Like he's going to be a really good receiver. I think we can all agree with that. I think the thing with Christian Watson is everyone's kind of sitting there going, where the fuck is his ceiling? You know what I mean? Like
exactly. And that's why I said like it's hard to take rookie campaigns into account, because even who ended up being our number 2 receiver last year, you know, Rashid Shaheed, I totally believe that if he plays a full season this year, because we didn't start him until the Bengals game, and he scored a touchdown off of his first touch, which ended up being a running play, and then he became a more consistent target for Andy Dalton. That's why it's under the same thing. Like, you know, with what Rashid Shaheed did at the end of the year, I'm like, we could possibly have 2,000-yard receivers if they both become consistent targets. You know?
And you got a gunslinger now, so it's possible. You don't have Andy Dalton. You don't have Jameis Winston starting this year. You got Derek Carr, who is a full-blown gunslinger. He's gonna fling the ball for them to catch the ball.
He is not afraid to take the top off.
And if Michael Thomas comes back, I mean, you got a trio of guys that you're confident in.
Oh yeah, no, obviously. This is probably it's weird because I don't know what to expect from the Saints this year, just based off of like all the people that we have, because we don't know Kamara's suspension dealing. Taysom Hill is probably going to be doing Taysom Hill things. We got a new quarterback.
I kind of feel like Kamara won't get suspended. That's just me. I kind of feel like that's where it's going.
Yeah, you know, Jamal Williams, I'm totally ready to see him run the ball, and it'll be interesting running back.
Fuck you guys. God. Jamal Williams. I gotta tell you, Jamal Williams is a beast. What a was a good pickup.
Well, and also Jamal Williams gives you energy when it comes to free warm up.
He's the hype man. He's gonna say, man, he's the hype man. He's gonna get your whole team going. Even if someone's like, hey man, I'm not feeling it, he's gonna be like, but I am, and you gonna feel it. You know what I mean?
What I'm most excited for with Jamal Williams is that I noticed this about Kamara early in his career, and I love Kamara. He is not an every down running back. He needs someone that can take the time, like who can take, you know, the punishment for him, and so he can like when Kamara's first year, it was him and Mark Ingram. It was thunder and lightning.
Mark Ingram was a smash mouth guy, and now all of a sudden, when Kamara got hurt, Mark Ingram took over, and he actually had a pretty good year.
Oh, yeah, and then after Mark Ingram, it was Latavius Murray, who was the same deal, you know, like let Latavius Murray take the punishment in the middle until we can get something with Kamara.
He didn't pan out the same way, though. Latavius Murray didn't fit your guys' offense.
No, it didn't.
But it was like when Darcy was on. So many Lions fans are like, oh, you know, it's all right that we got rid of Jamal Williams. We didn't. You mean the guy that scored the most rushing touchdowns in your franchise history? Like, they don't realize how valuable, like what you're talking about. Like, they don't realize how valuable an A.J. Dillon or a Jamal Williams that smash mouth guy that when you have an Alvin Kamara, you need a Jamal Williams. When you have when you have a David Montgomery, you're going to need a Jamal Williams. No. You know what they got? Instead, they got a Jahmyr Gibbs, who we don't even know who that. Well, he's playing receiver all of a sudden. Okay, how does that help your starting running back? In what way? Like, they don't see how valuable that is because you guys have an Alvin Kamara. You need a Jamal Williams. You have to have that, or else Alvin Kamara is gonna turn into dust eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we even had that back, in the year we won the Super Bowl with Pierre Thomas and Reggie Bush. And
that is some old school names right there. Pierre Thomas, who actually was not a bad running back.
No, he was not. It was one of my favorites. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Pierre Thomas. I have so many positive things I can say about Pierre Thomas. I'm just going to cut it right there.
He was actually probably a little bit better than Reggie Bush at one time in your guys' lineup.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, dude. I swear, I don't know whether Sean Payton had an issue with Pierre Thomas, but every year he'd start the year at the bottom of the depth chart, and then it was like, we have to start him. We don't have a choice.
Well, A-Dub, you had something to say about it. What do you want to say?
Well, when it came to the Lions story about letting Jamal Williams go, their case is David Montgomery will serve the purpose as that bell cow guy, the one who takes the same kind of punishment Jamal Williams would at the running back position. And Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, he wasn't drafted to be that standard running back for them. Rather, he's another receiver they can plug in inside the slot or anywhere on the outside.
It's a bad recipe.
They'll work in the same way they do the other receivers they got.
I just feel like that's such a bad recipe. See, you took something great. You scored 1 million touchdowns with it. You did something great. You let go of that and you replace it with something that you have no clue what you're even dealing with at this point. David Montgomery got hurt last year. And and Khalil Herbert actually pretty much took his spot over. So that's not to say that David Montgomery isn't good. Like he's obviously a good running back. But now you're drafting a brand new running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, and you're expecting this to – there's just no way, man. Like this smash mouth football where you score 17 touchdowns with one guy, right? I believe it was 17. I don't know how you replicate that. And Lions fans are trying to pretend like it's okay. It's all right. Like, we got this. I disagree. I just feel like you lost more than you gained.
I hate to, mimic a Vikings fan, but, there's a reason now why so many teams are starting this running back by committee, whether it's 2 or 3 rotating. And you want to know the real reason why? Is because the position of fullback is gone. And not gone, but it's going away. Unfortunately, there are a few teams that still utilize fullbacks. So, Zach, that's what I meant. So now, running backs still need protection, and so now the protection is more or less not so much the blocker, but having someone who can take the load off of them. If that makes sense. Okay.
So do you think that teams adopt what Green Bay's been doing? Because I haven't seen teams do this other than Green Bay, where we took tight ends, for example, DeGuara, right, A-Dub? We took DeGuara, and he's now our fullback / tight end. And DeGuara does a great job blocking as a fullback for us whenever we need him to.
Well, I like to think the run by committee ordeal is also another way for you to make sure your running backs are more than fresh, that they could last a certain
like Aaron Jones, who hasn't been hurt in the last 2 years now because we have A.J. Dillon? You mean like that?
Yeah, because most running backs that people pick up will usually wear out very quickly if they have to do 3 down backs like Dalvin Cook would. They'll get worn out so quickly to the point where they can't run like they normally would, especially with the injuries and the wear and tear they take.
I wanted to make a statement on that because for those of you who don't know, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, this is where I was born. It's where I've been raised. I even work at Nissan Stadium where the Titans games are played. All
And
right.
somehow
So-
you became a Packers fan.
Shut up. I'm not a Packers fan. God dang it. Who that? But anyway, so like Chris Johnson is like the perfect, even Derrick Henry, were like the Titans.
CJ2K. Say it right. CJ2K.
J2K. But you know, they were great, and Derrick Henry is still to some extent great. But you can tell he's taking punishment on his body, like Chris Johnson did. The Titans ran him into the ground.
Derrick Henry is not the same guy he was 3 years ago. That's a fact.
No, he's
like,
not.
or even 2 years ago, you could see it. It's almost like a humongous rock with the waves hitting it. Eventually, it's going to erode that rock. You know what I mean? And Derrick Henry is that humongous rock that's getting eroded. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the way that I see it.
Because, you know, all we see, you know, when Derrick Henry was doing this thing was he was running over people. He was like taking those big hits. But guess what? Each one of those big hits, each one of those broken tackles is taking a chip off that mountain. And eventually, it ain't going to be able to do the same thing.
It's almost like Junior Seau. Junior Seau eventually. Do you know why? Dude, his career was not as long as people pretend it was. He's a Hall of Fame linebacker. His career was not nearly as long as people pretend it was. I remember Junior Seau. He actually had to stop playing football at a younger age than people pretend that he did because of, you know, when you smash your head into something so many times, eventually, like, your brain stops responding. You know what I mean? And Derrick Henry is one of those guys that he puts his head down and smashes into everybody, into everything. He's like a bowling ball into pins, right? But even a bowling ball, when you throw it into 10 pins so many times, it gets chips in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I mean, they can, you know, and I don't mean to sound insensitive when I say this, you know, because I obviously do care about people's mental health and their physical health. But as many precautions as the NFL is taking to protect people's heads and you know prevent CTE and concussions, the game of football is never going to not have that. It's not.
It's impossible. It's impossible. And you know what? What we get at the end of this, if that's where it goes, is rugby. That's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And not to knock rugby because I've watched a lot of rugby. My first wife was from not Australia, but New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand.
So I watched a lot of rugby. I actually was very impressed. I was like, wow, these guys really get at it, right? It's actually more entertaining than people in America think. But once we get to the point where it's like, this is just too dangerous, that's where we're headed, is rugby.
And that's why, like, a lot of people hate the NFL making rules for safety. And some of them I don't like or necessarily agree with. Like, people getting mad at roughing the passer. And it's like,
there's so many bad rules on roughing the passer, dude. That is such garbage some of the time.
Yeah, it's not even the criteria wouldn't be a problem if they were consistent. But the problem is, and if, like I said, I used to referee, so I've read through a rule book. Roughing the passer is considered a judgment call, just like a lot of other penalties are. That's why there's only 2 referees that can make those calls, because they're the ones that have to make the judgment on whether or not it's roughing the passer.
Okay, but it's kind of like in the NBA. A charging call gets called on one side of the court, and the other side of the court, the same thing happens. It's a blocking call, and you're like, where's the consistency? You know what I mean? Like, you call holding on this one play, right?
Yeah.
But happened 2 plays ago, and you didn't call it. Like, the consistency, it's erratic.
You know what's funny is you brought that up, and I'm going to go back to a game that I refed 2 years ago where I was the down judge, and I forget what other referee threw the flag. Me and him both threw a flag on what was ended up being a dropped pass, right? And we were not on the same page with what we saw. I was saying that was offensive pass interference, and the other ref that threw the flag said he saw defensive pass interference. So we're both like, yo, this is what happened on my side. He's like, well, this is what I saw. And then the head ref comes in between us to figure out while we're talking. You know what we do? We pick up the flag and just let the and go to the next play.
See,
That's what he decided to do.
I feel like that happens all the time, though, in the NFL, where it's like two people saw two different things, and then one people interjects, and it's like, you know what? Let's just do the easiest thing. That's like, and this is why, for example, this is why, like, just like in the MLB, they're about to go to robots because humans can't be consistent with their choices. It's almost like it's almost like, hey, what color is this? You're like blue, and then you use the same crayon and you draw right next to it. So you go, what color is that? And you're like, oh, that's teal. And you're like, you know what I mean? Like, so which is it? Is it teal or blue? And you're like, well, that one's different from that one. You're like, it's not though. It's not different. It's the same color. So,
and look, you don't think you realize how it wasn't embarrassing because like the crowd, the high school crowd's reacting, and then the head ref gets on his microphone and he's like, "There's no foul." It's like we're picking up. He's like, "There's no foul on the play, 3rd down." Everyone's like, "What? There were 2 flags out there."
well, I'm gonna give A-Dub. What do you think about all this? Go ahead, A-Dub. Rip it. I want you to get up too. Come here. Come here up to the screen. Rip into it. I want you to talk about this.
Sorry, but I can't really say. Like, I'm not that big on rugby, be as much as you would think.
It's not rugby. We're talking about the inconsistencies of calls, the bullshit. Like, it's like, should we just have robots ref this game at this point?
And at some point, they better do something because the excuses of the referees giving certain teams wins, especially from Green Bay, gets old and stale and annoying real quick. I mean, so many inconsistencies can go into many of these games to where you just have a hard time watching it anymore. So many missed calls and stuff people get away with. It just makes the game that less fun to watch.
I'm used to inconsistencies. Like, I feel like loser teams and loser mentality is like, well, the refs is the reason why we lost. It's like, no, if you wouldn't have lost, you wouldn't have lost. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, for example, when the Rams and the Saints in the NFC Championship game, that was a horrible non-call. That was one of the worst, horrible non-calls that ever happened. I get that. But if the Saints would have took care of business, that wouldn't have ever been talked about, right?
Oh, yeah, no, you're not wrong. There were so many things. Like in the first quarter when we had the chance to go, what was it, up 17-0 or 20? I forget exactly. And then Drew Brees threw a perfect pass to fucking, what's his name, Josh Hill. And Josh Hill dropped it in the end zone. And we had to settle for a field goal. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, there was a lot.
It's not just
like,
that. In overtime, if your offensive line didn't completely break down on that one play where Breeze had a wide open guy and he got drilled and the ball spiraled in the air and they intercepted the ball, like it's just I get the parts of the game where it's like, dude, that should have never happened because the refs fucked this one thing up. But if your team would have just played better instead of giving that moment its energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. No, I understand what you're saying. That's why, like, I've let a lot of stuff go. You know what I'm saying? But it's like referees are there to try to judge the game. You have to remember they're humans. Okay, they can't see everything. They might not.
That's the problem. Is they're humans.
Exactly, we're all human. Or like
humans suck.
I'll go to another controversial game for you. One that Vikings fans fucking hate, which is the 2009 NFC Championship game. Oh my God, you guys were killing Brett Favre. And it's like, yeah, you guys totally didn't turn the ball over 5 times.
Yeah, I still remember Viking fans to this day talk about there was a bounty out before that game got started.
You know what's funny? I mean, it's not funny, but you notice how I want you to pay attention to, like, when it comes to those years where the Saints were fined for running a bounty, which ran from 2009 to 2011. Okay. The only team that ever has anything to say about it is the Vikings, not the Cardinals, where Kurt Warner almost head knocked someone after an interception and he got fucking popped. Not the fucking 49ers fans after 2011, which is what mainly started the whole thing, because that reporter had recorded Greg Williams in the defensive locker room talking about knocking out Frank Gore and this, that, and the third. No, the only team that ever seems to have anything to say about it is the Vikings, because they lost their chance to go to the Super Bowl. And that's really all it ever comes down to, is they can't handle the fact they lost their chance to go to the Super Bowl and possibly break their curse.
Funny thing is, they had other chances where it could have been broken. Let us go back to 1998 when their guy Anderson, who never missed a field goal during the whole season, misses one, and that sets up the Falcons to take it in overtime. or more recently 2017, where they got blown out by the Eagles. Another chance Minnesota could have made it to the Super Bowl and broke their curse.
Let's dive even deeper into this. You know, if the Hail Mary never happened, you know, if it was called correctly where we intercepted the ball, we actually get home field advantage, and the Seahawks lose to the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and we go to the Super Bowl. See what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it sucks, man. It happens to everybody. It happens to every team all the time.
The Hail Mary is another example of what I was talking about. That was with replacement refs. If you pay attention to those two referees who were in the end zone, one was signaling a touchback for the Packers, and the other one was
signaling a touchdown. And the head judge, like you're talking about, they were both talking about what happened. The head judge just went, you know what, call a touchdown, we'll call it a day. It's kind of what happened. And none of those refs knew what was going on or knew what the fuck was happening. That was one of the most inconspicuous fucking things that ever happened in NFL history. But let's pretend like that actually got called a touchdown. Well, the Packers actually get home field advantage at that point. We are actually in the driver's seat that year. Instead of going to Seattle, you come to Green Bay. It's probably, from most perspectives, a different outcome at that point. Now, does that change history? No. Does that change anything? No. If we would have played better that game instead of being down, or instead of winning 14-9 or what was it, 14-12 or whatever the fuck it was, and I think we were up 12-9 is what it was, and they scored that touchdown. Whatever it was, that touchdown ended the game. If we would have played better that whole game, instead of letting them even have a chance to throw a Hail Mary, you know what I mean? This never happens. So,
I mean,
and also another
looking
thing
at the scores, like we settled for field goals with most of the drives we have when we should have been trying to get in the end zone.
I think we were up 12-7 or so, 12-7, and they threw a Hail Mary, and they scored, and they won 14-12 or something like that, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's also like, so the NFL, obviously, in college football too, has the advantage of being able to go to instant replay. But I love instant replay because it gives you a chance to review it and get it right when it's up. But like, people don't understand how important the original call on the field is, because you have to remember, instant replay only overturns it if it is quote unquote clear and obvious. So that the call made on the field is still important, because if it's not clear and obvious, they have to go with the original call they made on the field in the first place.
It's like a fumble that you can't, because there's a dog pile, you can't dictate who got the ball and who didn't. So now when you're going to replay, who recovered the fumble, right? You can't dictate it. The initial call, whatever the initial call was, it reigns supreme at that point.
Exactly. And that's why, like, Because people are like, why don't you just go to replay and look at it? It's like they're trying to figure out what they're going to call first. Like they can't go to instant replay without.
But now they have New York to look at the replays, and even sometimes they can't even figure it out.
It was like that game last year. I think it was Justin Fields when it was like a fucking QB sneak or whatever, and he fumbled the ball at the goal line, and the original call was a fumble. So then they're looking at it, and you couldn't see where the ball was. There was no way in hell.
That was 2 years ago against the Packers. That was 2 years ago against the Packers, and the ball popped out like right before it touched the goal line. I know what you're talking about. And Bears fans are like, we won that game. If that touchdown counted, and it's like, well, if you look at the replay, you can't actually see where the ball was. Like his arm is right here, and the ball is right there, and it.
Exactly. If it had been called a touchdown on the field, it would have stood as that too. But the thing is, they called it a fumble on the field, and they went to review it to see what it was. We can't tell it's a fumble.
Real time is way different than, you know what I mean? Like in real time, they're like, oh, fumble! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, a long time ago when we were kids, we were always told football is a game of inches.
Oh, yes, obviously.
So now that we're older, it's even more. We can literally look at our parents and go, it's not a game of inches. You're wrong. It's a game of millimeters. You know what I mean? Like it is. Dude, football it's turned into a game of that much. Like all it takes is just one person to believe that you really did something.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a reason. Okay, so and I'm only saying this because the Premier League, EPL, English Soccer League, because they have it in place. I love the fact that the only ruling for if you call it a touchdown is if just the tip of the ball crosses the goal line. But the issue is we don't have like the technology to say that. We still have to look at it on a replay. Well, on the EPL, when they're doing goal line technology, they have something in the goal line that can tell whether or not the ball is completely crossed.
So I actually saw this where they were talking about putting little things on the tips of the balls. So once the ball actually crosses the goal line, it sends them that radar, that signal that the ball did. So they're talking about putting those little radars on the tips of each football, so that once it touches the goal line where those orange pads are, right? Those orange once it does it, it tells you, hey, that was a touchdown. So now they no longer have to dispute it anymore. It's like, no, this told us that it crossed the goal line. It's a touchdown.
I'm not gonna lie. That's what I hated, being a down judge in the red zone, especially on the goal line, because we are standing on the goal line at that point when they're in that position. And so a lot of teams try to run it in, I'm like, okay, the running back has the ball freaking covered up. Now I gotta try to figure out from my side if he's in. And it's like,
but this new technology will change that. Like, so like, A-Dub, James, everybody that was on the show, thank you. Thank you, everybody that watched. It's not many anymore because it's late, but tomorrow's numbers will show us some good results. Frozen Tundra Network, baby. Green Bay Packers, go Pack, go. Go ahead and here's what I do at the end of every show. You both know that. I'm going to give you your last sign off. I'm going to go with A-Dub. Give us your last sign off before we go.
Definitely enjoy being on here, and catch everybody later, and go Pack go.
You should have been here earlier, A-Dub. You should have been here earlier.
it's always nice talking to you, Nick. It's nice to meet you, A-Dub. But as you can see, it's Who Dat Nation over here. So
all right.
I'll see y'all week 3.
We will invite James more often. He's always welcome. And my last sign off is that the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions fans, you guys better hope to God that Jordan Love in this offense doesn't start clicking, because we coming for that ass, baby. Go Pack, go. Let's go. All right. So, Frozen Tundra Network, we're going to sign off with our signature fucking brand right here where Almond Green says my name. Everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend. Go Pack-O.
2020 NFL Draft. The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State.
49ers bring pressure. Two inside backers come down the sideline. Romeo Doubs, a touchdown.
Hang on. Love to Watson to a one-score game.
Hey, this is Ahman Green, the Green Bay Packers all-time leader in Russia. Bill, the Packer fan and Packer owner, Nick, they run a website for Packer news and updates, and I know Packer news hasn't been so great lately because we got some players that are not Packers anymore that you loved at one time, but you might hate a little bit right now.
Two great running backs. We have a competent offensive line.
He's saying that he felt in November and December that they didn't want him back.
Get a little safety in that position. Either we go.
There's no reason to believe we can't return, but.
And they already came out. There's a couple guys that came out and said that Rodgers is telling what
solution of it, and don't let them go for anything under than one.
And you know what, Packer fans? The Bears still suck. So go Pack Go, and good luck to you, Bill and Nick, their website and their Packer news. Talk to you later.
It's a lot easier to come in and skip doing mop-up duty, but he threw the ball all. He kind of looked like Aaron Rodgers the way he was throwing the ball sidearm and just flicking the wrist, and the ball was just jumping out of his hands.
Agreed.
Hey everybody, this is